Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's time for some Chaos Child. And I remember to unmute my mic. Are you proud? I totally didn't forget to do that last night. Nope, not at all. Chaos Child. It's been a couple weeks because we didn't stream last week. But we finally actually started the second route. We were supposed to be on the Dark Sky route, which is Kazuki's route. And shit sure was happening. A lady got launched by a dragon. I keep on saying dinosaur, but that's not quite right. It'll be interesting to see how this route keeps going. There is a bad end, so that'll be interesting. Thumbs up. Let's get right into this, shall we? Okay. I think this is just post a bunch more of the dragons spawning in, because there was more portals. Very nice. And the next day, we all gathered in the club room. Ito said that he had come all the way around from Harajuku. And that was pretty smart of him. It wasn't safe to walk around Shibuya anymore after all. And the school itself was supposed to be closed, which made sense because of the portable device on the roof. But strangely enough, no monsters had appeared from the school's portal device. I had no idea why that was the case, though. Yeah, that's fair. Kurisu looked pale. Whenever I looked at her, she was silent and concerned. I mean, fair, given the circumstances. But I figured that was a normal reaction to what was currently happening in Shibuya. Yeah. That's definitely a normal reaction to what's currently happening in Shibuya. In contrast, Ito didn't look tired at all. Whenever my eyes met his, he would poke me with his elbow. Hey. So, when did you and Kazuki get like that? No, buddy. Get like what? Don't try to fool me. I never thought you'd become a normie, and now you kinda left me behind. Still, I'm amazed it was Kazuki, not Onoe or the Empress. I expect her to be your type. So what? Are you feeding each other dried squid with your mouths? That's pretty naughty, damn it. Why is he like this? Teenage boys, am I right? What the hell is he talking about? Is he stupid? Yes. He's very stupid. Really now noticing? Oh, thanks, Kurisu. Kurisu glared at him, as she should. And the ice in her stare was well below freezing temperature. If you're going to be disgusting, would you please just leave now? That's fair. I'm sorry. Kurisu sighed and opened her bag. She'd brought in an especially big bag today. She took some wrapped up boxes out of the bag and put them on the table. Eat these with Kazuki later. Thank you for the food, Mom. I unwrapped them and saw that they contained sandwiches. I'm fine, though. You are not fine. Do you think the convenience stores and supermarkets are open like usual? Yeah, that's a good point. They probably are not. At least I would hope they're not. If you're not careful, you run out of food and be in big trouble. And to be honest, I was incredibly grateful. Just like Kurisu had said, none of the stores were open. Last night we had to go all the way to Tomigaya to get food. Is it just Onoe who's not here today? Is she okay? He was right. Serika wasn't here. They just set the meeting time to around noon, so it wasn't like she was late, but I was still worried. Shibuya was swarming with monsters right now. If one of them attacked her on the way to school. Just as I was thinking about going to look for her, the door to the clubroom flung open, and Serika came running in. Oh, everybody's here already. Am I late? If you're running late, then send us a message. Do you know what's happening out there? Sorry. Isn't it kind of exciting to be at school when no one else is around? I just went for a run around the gym. Okay, girl. Is that why she's late? I don't know whether she's brave, thoughtless, or just dumb. All of the above? All of the above. I also don't know how she can even laugh at a time like this. Oh, hey. Did you not call Hina-chan? Why would we call Arimira? She's not part of the newspaper club. You were attacked by a woman who shot fire from her hands, right? I wonder if that might have something to do with this. I mean, it's not unrelated, I guess. It does, but to be honest, it really doesn't. That's a fair reaction, Sarika. That doesn't make any sense. If nothing else, she's not gonna attack us again, I think. I'm not fully convinced that we'll never see her again, but still. Arimura was fine after the attack, right? Yeah, we were with her the whole time. She stayed at the Alba dorm that night. She was a lot calmer the next morning, so we sent her home. Alright, then there's no need to worry about her. Alright, can I get started? I asked you all to go search Shibuya yesterday. And I like to put together your findings to figure out how many portal devices are in Shibuya. Explain to everyone that they were called portal devices. And also that they came from a game called ESO2. I don't understand. Can you explain better? What do these portal whatsits have to do with you and Hana-chan? There's no real need to explain anything to you, is there, Onoe? You're not going to understand either way. Oh, right. Sarika, please don't just take that. That was good enough for her. But I want to know anyway. Takuru, please explain. People are dead. A lot of people. Everyone's all angry. What are those monsters? No, I saw them too. They were attacking a cop car. And then there was what? And then there was that first live broadcast. What the hell are those things? Monsters. Literally. More and more are showing up all the time. And they're multiplying? Seriously? And there were bodies everywhere. It was awful. If you're saying that's your fault, then explain. I might be able to talk my way out of explaining things to Seriko or Ito, but that's not going to work on Kurisu. I did say on the phone yesterday that the portal devices and monsters might be my fault after all. Yeah, that's fair. Kazuki was standing in front of the whiteboard, staring down at her feet. It wouldn't be right to not explain. After all that happened, there was no way to be able to keep it a secret. It would probably just be better to explain things to everyone in the newspaper club. And so I told them everything, including the secret of Kazuki's power. At first, no one seemed to know how to react. And after processing it, they all looked shocked. Shocked, I couldn't words. I thought Ito would tell me to stop joking around, but by the time I was halfway done, he was holding his head in his hands. That's how this game always has Peachy, head in hands.
マジかよ。
Seriously?
お前らシャレにならないだろ。
信じるのか？
Do you believe me?
信じ
I
るさ。
do. I couldn't figure out why you and Kazuki became so
理由
close
が
out
ずっ
of
と謎だっ
nowhere.
たんだ。だって宮
After
代
all,
が
I
カズ
can't
キを口
imagine
説
you
くなんて
convincing Kazuki to
絶
be your
対想像つ
girlfriend.
かないだろ。
But this explains it.
でも今の説明でやっと納得した。
Does he still think that they're dating? Because they're not. Not yet, anyway.
注目すると
Is
ころ
that
はそこな
really what you're
の？
focusing on here? Yeah. He's dumb.
何にせよ、
Neither
この件に
way.
関して
I'm
は
not
真
interested
意
in
を議論する
discussing
つもりは
whether
ない。
what I said just
今
said
は
is
ポータ
true
ル装
or
置の
not.
ことを優先させてく
Let me
れ。
focus on the portal devices now. Everyone nodded. Oh boy, it's a map.
それじゃあ一人ずつ報
Alright,
告していくか。
should we all take turns
どこ
telling
で
you
そ
what
の
we saw? Whether we saw any of those,
ポータル装置だっけ？
what did you call
それ
them?
を見かけたか？
Portal devices?
実は昨
The
日、
police actually
調
found
査
us
中
and
に
drove
警
us
察
out
に
of
見つかっ
Shibuya
て
yesterday.
パトカーに乗せ
When
ら
I
れ
was
た
in
ん
the
だけれど、
police car, they told me
そ
what
の
they
時
knew.
に警察が掴んでいる情報を教えてもらったんだ。
Man, the police force in this game just... They like to yap, don't they?
みんなから報告を受けた
After
後で
everyone tells me
照
what
合
they
してみ
saw,
る。
I'll compare it to what I heard from them.
じゃあ俺から
Alright,
な。
I'll start.
俺は2つ
I
見つけ
found
た。
two portals.
恵比寿から渋谷駅に
One
向
was
かって
floating right in front of
明治通り
Shibuya
をず
Police
っと歩いてい
Station,
ったら
down Meiji Dori,
渋谷
between
警察署
Ibisu
の
and
手
the
前に
police
一つ
station.
浮かんでた。
Right in front of the Shibuya Police Station, huh?
慌てて渋谷川
I
を
turned
渡
around
って
and headed
桜ヶ丘町
across
の方に
Shibuya
逃げた
River
よ。
toward Sakura Gaochoko.
で、六本木
Gaokacho.
通りを渡ろうとしたら
And when I tried to cross
今度は
Roppongi
南口の
Dori,
バ
I
スター
saw
ミ
one
ナ
of
ル
the
に
Shibuya Station South Exit bus terminal. Why can't I speak? The South Exit bus terminal.
あのモンスター
Those monsters are
すげえ
nasty,
気になる。
huh? I thought one of the
ライゾー
Easter
が動き
Island
出したのか
statues
と
had
思った。
gotten up and started walking around
明治通りの
in front of the
渋谷
Shibuya
警
police
察署手
station,
前と
Meiji Dori,
駅南
and the
口の
South
バス
Exit
タ
bus
ーミナルだ
terminal
な。
at Shibuya Station, right? I should mark this on the map. Oh. Am I supposed to mark it? Oh shit, okay, hang on. Uh... Okay. So, the way you get the bad end is by making anything incorrect for the map triggers, and I think this counts. So let's just pick something that I'm pretty confident is wrong. Okay, we're still alive. Pretty sure this is also very wrong. Okay. Interesting. How about you two on the way? Wait, I did save right before, right? Okay, I did. Just making sure. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. How about you two on the way?
2つ見つけたよ。
We found two.
ああ、
Oh,
でも
but
その
one
う
of
ち
them
1
was
個は
the one from the
昨日
news
の昼のニュ
yesterday.
ースで中継されてたところだけど。
それって
It's the one
サイ
behind
ンシ
Sign
ティ
City,
の裏だっ
right?
たな。
Sign City was a pair of buildings right on the west side of Shibuya Station. It was a hotel and office complex with its own private railroad. It had survived the earthquake 6 years ago.
ええ。
That's right. We went down a tiny alley on our way
小さな
up
路地を
through
入る。
Dogenzaka. Dogenzaka, huh?
もう1個は
The other was right in
107
front
の
of
すぐ目の前。
107.
道玄坂の途中と。
Dogenzaka. Okay.
107の目の前。
In front of 107. I should mark that information down too. Okay, now this is up to me. Does the map have 107 marked? Not that I want to make the correct choice here anyway, but... If I click on one of them, will it zoom in? Okay.
僕が警察か
And
ら
that
聞いた
matches
情
what I
報と
heard
一
from
致
the
してる。
police.
僕らが直
We
接見
found
つけ
one
たのが
device.
1個。
It was
パルク前にあっ
right in
た。
front of Parku.
警察は
And the police seem
ポ
to
ータ
think
ル
that the
装置を
monsters
中
are
心と
active
した
within a 100
半径
meter
約
radius
100
of
メ
the
ートルの
portal
エリアが
devices.
モンスターの行動範囲だって考えてるみたいだ。
And it was probably just as close as any of them dared to get. And of course, there was a chance that even if you got that close, the monsters wouldn't see you, and that they attack you outside of that area.
警察はポータル装置の場所を全部掴んでるのか？
ああ、
Yeah. In addition to the
みんなが見つけたも
ones
の
you
以外だと
found. That seems about right.
へえ。
駅をぐるっ
Looks
と
like this
取り囲んで
surrounded
る
the
みたいだ
station.
な。
Oh, yeah, huh.
なんか意味
Does
がある
that
のか
mean
な？
anything? That's a good point. Does it actually mean something?
渋谷にいる人たち
Maybe
に
they don't
駅
want
を
people in
使わせ
Shibuya
たく
using the
ない
station.
とか？
どうして？
Why?
それ
Don't
は
ask me.
俺に聞かないでくれよ。
ねえ、花
Hey,
ちゃん。
Hana-chan,
どう
do
して
you
なの
know?
かわかる？
Kozuki was still staring at her feet.
ああ、ごめん。
Oh, sorry.
花ちゃ
I'm
んが
not
悪
saying
いって
it's
言
your
って
fault,
るんじゃない
Hana-chan.
よ。
I was just
ただ
trying to figure
ど
it
うして
out.
かなって不思議だっただけ。
意図なんてないよ。
There's no meaning.
すべては
It's all
偶然の産
coincidence.
物だ。
I spoke as if to reprove Serika. But it was just as Neidhart had told me.
説明しただ
I
ろ。
told you, remember?
和樹の能
Kazuki
力を
can't
コントロ
control
ー
her
ルでき
power.
ない。人がよく
And
通
the
る
fact
場
that
所
the
に
portal
装置が
devices
出
are
現してい
showing
る
up
のが
at
その
places
証拠
people
だ。
go to a lot is
そうい
proof
う場
of
所の
that.
方が
It's
和樹
easier
の
for
妄
her
想がより
delusions to
反
echo
響
in
しやすい。
places like that.
なる
I
ほど。
understand? Don't tilt your head in confusion when you say you understand. You obviously don't understand at all.
でもまずいよな。
This is really bad.
まずいって何が？
What are you referring to specifically?
光をに
There are a
さ、
lot of people
人が
stuck
た
in
くさん集まって
Hikari.
立てこもってるらしいんだよ。
Huh?
一体誰が
Weren't they supposed
駅
to
に残って
evacuate
た
all
人
the
たち
people
は
left in the
避難
station?
させるって話じゃなかったか？
Shibuya had been put under a heavy curfew yesterday. The police had gone around evacuating anyone they could find. Last night, all the train companies had stopped transit to Shibuya station. They weren't sure the station would be safe. The station had been shut down and the shutters lowered. A lot of people had been trapped then, and there was a big debate online about how to get them out. As of this morning, one of the railroad companies had put together a desperate plan to send a train to the station and get the people out.
それとは別
I
に、
heard there's a bunch
あ
of
えて
people
避
who
難しなかっ
deliberately
た連中
didn't
が
evacuate,
光を
and
に
they're all
集
in
まっ
the
てるんだ
Hikari
と。
Wall. Well, that's dumb.
ほら、宮下公
You
園に
know
ホー
how
ムレスがいっ
there's
ぱい
all
いた
those
だろ。
homeless people in
あ
Miyashita
の辺
Park,
の連
right?
中だよ。
And those are the guys in Hikari Wall.
なるほどな。
I see.
あそこ
They
にい
don't
た
have
人た
anyone
ち、
else to go.
みんな帰る場所がないから。
That's a bummer. So, is Gunson there too? I'm worried about him. Who knows how safe it is to hide there for refuge?
駅って封
And the
鎖
station's
され
been
ている
sealed
のよ
off,
ね。
right?
なんだか
This is kind of like
6年前み
how
たい。
things were 6 years ago.
そう思わない？
Don't you think so,
Taku?
Taku? Don't say that.
そういうこと言うなよ。
A month ago, I would have been so excited about the situation, but only because I probably wouldn't have been involved. All things were different. I was partly to blame for this. I couldn't feel any excitement at all. We all tried to come up with plans to fix things, but no one had any real ideas. We knew the answer from the beginning. Since there was no way to control Kazuki's power, there was no way for her to erase her real booted illusions. After about 2 hours, we started to realize that it might not be safe to stay at the school, and decided to head home.
Takuru,
Takuru,
あなた
you don't
は
have
帰る
anywhere
場
to
所ない
go,
で
do
しょ
you? You might not
う
come
ちに
home.
戻ってきたら
My home. Shima and Alba dorm. She did have a point. I couldn't go back to Miyashita Park. It was likely that there were monsters there now.
タクって今
Taku's staying with
花ちゃ
Hana-chan
んの部屋
now,
にいるんだよね。うん。
やらしいよな。
How lewd. Kazuki shook her head furiously.
なあ、宮代。
Hey, Miyashiro.
風呂と
Are
か
you
入
taking
ってる
baths
の
while you're there? You run into her
脱いで
naked
風
in
呂
the
上が
bath
りにば
yet?
ったりみたいなラッキースケベイベントには遭遇したか
You know, why the hell is that all you care about at a time like this? Typical high schooler boy, what can I say?
伊藤君。
Ito-kun,
いい加減にして
enough.
そういう
I
の
don't know if that
本
ever
当にある
actually
のかな
happens.
だって
I
ず
mean,
っと
they're
一緒
always
にいるんだ
together,
ぜ
right? It
そ
would
れ
make
ぐらいのハプニン
sense.
グはあっても
Kazuki's face turned bright red as she pounded the wall. Yeah, that's fair. Should have pounded Ito's face, though.
そういうのはな
Nothing's
い
like that's happened, she says.
そうか
I see. Sorry.
そりゃ悪かった
It's hard to see Kazuki so upset.
それでタクル
So,
どうする
Sakura,
の
what will you do?
うちに来る
Come home? I
いや、行かない。
I won't.
和樹を一
I
人には
can't
で
leave
きない。
Kazuki alone.
だったら
Then both
二
of
人
you
とも
can
来れば
come.
いいわ
Yeah, easy. Perfect solution. I knew that was going to be said.
それもダメだ。
I can't do
寮
that.
に危
It
険が
might
及
put
ぶ
the
可能
dorm
性
in
だってある
danger.。God damn it.
そんなこと
That's
は
not...
タク
Taku,
それで
are
いい
you
の
okay with that?
あ、
Yeah.
そっか
Alright.
それ
Then
じゃあ
let's go,
私たち
everybody.
は帰ろう
Come on. You too,
なおちゃん
Nol-chan.
もあちょっと
Wait,
セリカ
Serika. Taku, Hana-chan, bye-bye. Serika smiled and waved, then grabbed Ito and Kurisu by the hand and went to leave the room.
タクル
Takuru,
カズ
take
キ
care
の
of
こと頼むわ
Kazuki.
よ
If something
何かあったら
happens,
すぐに
call me
私
right
に連
away.
絡すること
Got it?
いい
なあ、
Yeah. Kurisu looked like she wanted to say more, but Serika dragged her out of the room before she could. Kazuki and I were left alone in the club room.
勝手に
I
決め
must
た
have
けど、
decided that on my
よか
own.
ったかな。
Was that okay?
もう部屋
If
に
you
入れ
don't
た
want
く
me
ないな
coming
ら
over
そう言ってほ
anymore,
しいんだけど
tell。me.
うん
She shook her head again. That's all she'd been doing lately.
でも
But then, she suddenly started to talk. Even though she's been so insistent about not talking when everyone else was around. Maybe that meant she trusted me.
セリカ先
Is
輩のこと
Serika-senpai
いい
going
の
to be upset?
いいのって
Upset?
タクル先
If you
輩
come to my
が
room,
私の部屋来ると
Serika-senpai might be upset.
セリカ先輩怒るかも
なんで
Why?
だって
Because
タクル先輩とセリカ
right?
先輩付き合ってるんでしょ
は
That's not what he meant.
いやいやいや
No, 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 no.
付き合って
Or
ないし
not.
だって
But
いつ
you're
も
always
一緒だった
together.
かもだから
Maybe.
それは幼
Because
馴
we've
染
known
だ
each
から
other
ってだ
since
け
we
だ
were。kids.
付き合
Not
ってないん
dating.
だ
I didn't know
知
that.
らなかった
Maybe.
かも
Did Kazuki get mad back there because she didn't want Serika to misunderstand things? Maybe. If so, then she was wasting her time.
それにしても
Still,
和
I
樹
can't
が
believe
そん
he
な誤
thought
解をしてい
that.
たなんてな。
Like, look at Takaru. He's pathetic. Not even Serika would date him.
少し意外だ。
I'm a little
他人
surprised.
に興味
It
なさそう
didn't
に
seem
見え
like
た
he
か
cared
ら。
about anyone else.
さてと、
Anyway,
僕たち
let's
も
go
そろそろ
home.
帰ろう。
It might be
ここも
dangerous
危ないだ
here.
ろうから。
But then I realized Kazuki had sat down at the PC to play ESO2, because of course. And she had her headphones on.
っていつの間に
Wait,
ゲーム
when did
始
he
めて
start
た
the game? Sheesh. She must have been really excited to play her game. Kazuki's gaze was locked on the monitor. She didn't look away for an instant. Her concentration was palpable. If I interrupted her, she might punch me instead of the wall. And you would deserve it, just kidding. Not for that. I figured that it wouldn't hurt to let her play for a while. Since I didn't have much to do while she was playing her game, I decided to go up to the roof. You know, to the portal that's been spawning monsters from a video game. You know. Of course, I didn't go to the back. I just went up past the crumbling stairs to look outside. The portal device was still floating out there. But unlike the one in front of Parku, there was no bodies anywhere. Just a single red stain on the floor. Were monsters not going to appear from this one? I felt an indescribable terror welling up inside me. Or welling up within me. Same difference, but you know. It was so scary, being here alone. I ran back to the club room. Once Kazuki started her game, she wouldn't take her headphones off no matter how much I yelled at her. She was totally lost within her game, and I'd totally forgotten it ever existed. That's right, that's who Kazuki Hana is. She wouldn't normally use her power to save me, regardless of the risks, or let me stay in her room. Normally, this is who she is. I've been living with her in the same room for a few days, so I briefly forgot about that. Still, I'm amazed how she can play a game for so long without any breaks. Does she ever have to go to the bathroom? I don't know if she's hydrated or fed enough to have to worry about going to the bathroom, I'll be honest. Actually, I remember that Cool Cat Press once did an article on gamers who never left their seats. And they said a true gamer would rather keep playing than take the time to go to the bathroom. So, if they had to go, they would use a plastic soda bottle, or something like that. When I saw the article, I thought it had to be fictional. But now that I'm watching Kazuki like this, I'm not so sure anymore. Wait, does Kazuki ever go in soda bottles? No. What the hell am I thinking? Great question, buddy. Ever since I started living in the same room as her, I started having more and more delusions like that. Maybe it was just because I was a boy still going through puberty, I mean. But later, I'd come to hate myself for feeling that way, given all that was going on. A huge noise almost caused me to jump up in the air. Kazuki had hit the wall again. What had happened this time to upset her? I looked outside the window. The sky was turning red. It was surprisingly noisy outside. There wasn't a single person inside or outside the school. The noise was coming from the police sirens on the ground and media helicopters up above. The media had decided it was too risky to head into Shibuya directly, so they were forced to do the reporting from the sky. Still, I felt like they'd been there all day, from morning to night. I was amazed that they hadn't gotten bored. Without anyone here in Shibuya, it wasn't like anything interesting would happen anymore. I mean, the monsters are still there. Footsteps. Suddenly, I thought I heard a different noise than the sound of the helicopter rotors. I held my breath and listened. It didn't seem like I was imagining it. I could hear the sound. It was a sound I normally never pay any attention to, but a sound that I definitely shouldn't have heard of this building at this point in time. Someone's footsteps are coming down the hall. And that was enough to bring back my memory of several days ago. Is that woman still alive? Particularly nasty sweat started to pour out of my body. I tried my best not to make a sound as I concentrated all my focus into my ears. The footsteps didn't sound like the person was wearing heels. I didn't hear any dragging. It wasn't that woman. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. You've been lurking in the pocket dimension? That's fair. I hope you've been having fun in the pocket dimension, though. But then, who? Was someone besides us still in the school? I mean, the answer to that one is obviously yes, Takaru. But who? Others had gone home hours ago. Had they come back? But then, wouldn't they call or text me first? I peeked into the teacher's office when I'd arrived, and no one was there. Your pocket dimension is a literal coat pocket. Very comfortable. Wonderful. The only other possibility I can think of was that someone besides us had ignored the police warning and stayed in Shibuya. And the footsteps were getting closer. I tapped Kazuki on the shoulder and made her take off her headphones.
誰かが来る。
Someone's coming. What should we do? Hide? Run out into the hallway? They probably already know we're here. Nobody would come all the way to the 5th floor of this building otherwise. But then, who could they be? Maybe the mastermind who was controlling that woman? If that's the case, then it would be a very bad idea to try and hide. But I really doubt that Kazuki and I would be able to fight them either. In that case, we have to run away. It's better than hiding.
Kazuki,
Kazuki,
逃げるぞ。
we're going to run. I saw Kazuki nod, then took a deep breath and opened the door. I ran out into the hallway. There was someone standing there, and I ran straight into them. I lost my balance and almost fell over. Someone grabbed my hand as I flailed out into the air.
大丈夫?
Are you okay? Huh? And it was only then that I realized who it was.
涌井先生。
Mr. Wakui.
いや
Hey, so it was you guys, huh? The language teacher, who was also the advisor for the newspaper club and student council, looked at us both and grinned.
一部の保
And
護
there
者
was a
から
call from
連絡
some
があ
of
っ
the
てね。
parents. Wakui nibbled on the dried squid that Kazuki offered him as he explained.
ニュースで
It
渋
was
谷の
said they
空
were
撮映
showing
像が
shots of
流れて
Shibuya
いた
from
ん
the
だ。
sky on the news.
そこで
And
ちょ
someone
う
said
ど
they saw
ここ
people
が
in
映
the
った
building.
時に人影が見えたって。
Fair enough.
それで
So,
僕
I
が
came
こ
to
う
check
して
on you.
様子を見に来たわけだよ。
Sheesh. They can't cut me a break, you know?
人使い荒いよね。
All I could do was laugh. It was just like Wakui to end up being forced into coming here because he couldn't help bring himself to refuse. We'd managed to make it here because we knew a lot about the situation in Shibuya, but Wakui must have come here without doing any research at all. Wrongsiders like him are always the first to die. Too much time in peaceful Japan had addled his brain.
一体何をし
What
て
were
いた
you
んだい?
doing? They closed the
危な
school
いから
because
休
it's
校になっている
dangerous.
のに。
How should I talk my way out of this? There's no point in telling Wakui the truth after all. As I tried to figure out the best way, Kazuki walked back to the computer and booted up ESO2 again. Wakui stared at her suspiciously for a moment. Were you
もしかして
playing
ゲー
video
ムしてた
games?
の?
Yeah. Kazuki nodded without looking away from the screen.
なんだ、
So that's
そんな理由
why.
か。
You guys know people have
全くのんき
died,
だな。
right?
人が亡くなっているっていうのに。
外をほっつき
It's
歩く
safer
よ
to
り
be
は
inside the
学
school
校
than
内にいた方
outside,
が安全で
right?
は。
それを言うなら
Wouldn't it be
渋谷
even
から
safer
出
to
た方がい
leave
いんじゃ
Shibuya
ないかな。
altogether?
僕は
I
宮
live
下
in
公園に
Miyashita
住んでますか
Park.
ら。
ああ、そうだっ
Oh,
け。
right.
他に
Is that
頼
where
れ
you
る
can
ところ
go?
はないの？
Just a
親
relative's
戚とか。
place? He was in an orphanage before he was in the homeless park. This conversation is pointless. I've known Wakui since I started the newspaper club. Did I ever tell him that I don't have any relatives? Apparently not.
まあね。
Anyway,
君
I
たち
do
の気持
understand
ち
how
も
you
わかるん
feel.
だよ。
Huh?
いや、
I mean,
渋谷
Shibuya
に
is
戒厳令
basically
が敷か
under
れたよう
martial
な
law,
状況に
right?
なってるでしょ。
It's not every day that you get
こ
to
んなことを
experience
なか
that.
なか経験できることじゃないから
I
ね。
mean, I would hope not.
危険だと分か
Even
っ
if
てい
you
て
know
も
it's
つい
dangerous,
その
you
危険
probably
の
still
中
want
に
to
飛び込みた
experience
くなる
it.
気持ちっていうのかな。若気の至りと
I
言っ
guess
ちゃ
it's
そ
one
こ
of the
までなんだ
follies
け
of
ど
youth.
さ。でも
But I don't think there's
僕
anything
はそ
wrong
の
with
若
that.
気の至りという
honestly.
やつを否定するつもりはないんだ。おや、
Oh,
どう
you
して
seem
って
confused
顔
to
して
hear
るね。
that. Just so you know,
言っておく
I
が
was young
僕だっ
once
て
too,
君たちみたいに若かった頃があるんだよ。
but I'm not confused. I'm just bored. I get the feeling this is going to take a while. Not to mention, I'm slowly trying to pull off the teacher who understands the students act. There's nothing wrong with that, Mr. Wakui, but you're wasting your time trying to understand me and Kazuki right now.
若者というのは
Young
どんな
always
時
want to
代だ
rebel
って
against the
大
system,
人や社会に
against
対
the
して反抗
adults.
的でいたいものさ。事実
In fact,
戦
the
後数
first
十
few
年は
decades
そう
after
いう
World
若
War
者
II,
たちで溢
Japan
れ
was
てい
filled
た
with
わけ
young
だし、
people like that.
ちょうど
I guess who's around my
僕の
parents'
親ぐ
generation
らい
when
の
things
世代
started
か
to
らか
calm
な、
down.
おとなしくなっちゃったのは。物分かり
They
が
were a
良
little
すぎ
too
るんだよ
understanding,
ね
you。see,
特に僕
especially
ら
my
以降の世
generation,
代
the
っ
ones
て。
after us.
はあ。
I wasn't sure how to respond to this. What was the best way to get rid of this guy? I couldn't let him find out that Kazuki and I were staying in the same room. Which meant that ideally, I wanted to leave the school without him. My phone started to vibrate in my pocket. Maku was still talking, but I took it out anyway as a sign that I wasn't interested in hearing what he had to say. I got a message. It was from Kazuki. From Kazuki? I looked up. Kazuki was still playing ESO 2 with her back to me. But when I looked carefully, I saw that she was holding her smartphone with a hand that wasn't holding the mouse. Why would she send me an email when I'm standing right in front of her? It's always so hard to tell what Kazuki's thinking. I mean, if you read the message, you'd probably understand. Just throwing that out there, buddy. Or maybe there's something important that she can't tell me because Wakui's here? Read the message. My curiosity piqued. I looked at the email.
宮代くん
Miyashita-kun?
どうかし
There's
た？
something wrong?
ああ、いえ。
Oh, no.
そう
Yeah?
な
Alright.
らいいけど。で、どこまで
Anyway,
話したっけ？
where was I? Well, you
つまり
see,
ね、
Wakui gets a certified yapper reward. Wakui was still talking. Was he always this talkative? Yes. My heart was pounding loud and fast. My mind still couldn't process it. I couldn't believe what I just saw in that email. I took another look at it, being careful to not let Wakui see. Message from Neidhart. Mr. Wakui is an assassin from the committee. Hmm. The committee would be the committee of 300 that Neidhart brought up, right? Their assassin is Wakui of all people? The language teacher? The guy who's rambling on right in front of me?
ところで、
By the way,
なんだっけ？
what was the name
宮
of the
代くん
thing
たち
you
が
were
調
looking
べていた事
into?
件って。
Huh?
ほら、
You know,
そこの
the
ボー
one
ド
on
に
the
貼ってある
board.
やつだよ。何か分かった？
Did you find something out? I think I'm sensing how this is the bad end. Because there's no way I didn't get the bad end. Should I believe him or not? Neidhart did say that the Committee of 300 might take action. But he didn't tell me why. What exactly are they after? If he really is an assassin, are they trying to kill me and Kazuki? Do they not like what's happening in Shibuya right now? Of course not. No one would like it, not just the committee. But killing us won't magically make things better. Doesn't the committee know that? Then again, even if I told them that, would they really just leave us alone? Or is there another reason they want to kill us? I don't know. There's no way for me to know. All I have are just guesses. What was Neidhart said even true anyway? Does the Committee of 300 really exist? Where did he find out? How? What was his source? Gestures vaguely at the previous game, Chaos Head, I guess. I'm looking back on it now. It's hard to say if he's even on our side. Kazuki seems to trust him, though. Is it possible that Neidhart is the real assassin for the Committee of 300? No. If I want to be really skeptical, I can't even be sure that Neidhart contacted Kazuki just now. There's a chance that she's lying to me. I don't know why. There's a chance she might be trying to make me think Wakui is a bad guy. There are all sorts of things to doubt. I'm so confused. What should I believe in? Who should I believe? Who am I supposed to believe?
Oi.
Hey, Miyashiro-kun. Hearing my name called shook me out of the trance. Evidently, I'd been lost in thought.
顔
You look kind of
青くないかい
pale.
ああ、いえ。
Oh, well, I'm fine. What were we talking about again?
事件のことで
About
す
the
か？
case?
そうそう
That's right.
い
You
ろい
were
ろ
doing a
無
lot
茶
of
して
crazy
調べ
things
てた
while
ん
you
で
were
しょ
looking into it, right? Kazuki looked over her shoulder at me. And when I saw the little bit of fear in her eyes, I made my decision. That's right. Even if I don't know whether or not I can trust Neidhart, there's no way that I can't trust Kazuki. She's not the type of person who would lie to someone. Not to mention, it doesn't make much sense for Wakui to be here right now anyway. He's the type of person who'd go out of his way to avoid trouble. Would he really put himself in danger by coming to Shibuya just because a parent called?
だいぶ前に
Kurisu-kun was
クルス君から軽
complaining
く
to
愚痴
me
ら
a
れた
long
よ
time ago.
宮代君
She
がち
told me
っと
that
も
you
言うこ
weren't
とを聞
listening
い
to
てくれな
anything
いか
she
ら
said.
顧問と
She
して
just wanted
指
me to talk
導して
to
くれ
you.
ってね
はあ。
But then why is Wakui rambling on like this? If he's an assassin, wouldn't he just try to kill us? They wouldn't send a complete amateur. He should be capable of killing us. I realized I was more nervous than I thought, but I couldn't let it show. If Wakui found out, I was finished.
いや僕も
You
ね
know, when I was a
学生の
student,
頃
I
に
would
世
hear
界
about
各地で
wars
起き
and
ている
terrorist attacks
戦
going on
争
all
やら
over
テ
the
ロ
world,
事件なんか
and
を
I'd
見
think
聞きし
about it a
て
lot.
いろいろ考えたんだよそれで
I actually
バ
ended
ッ
up
クパッ
putting
カー
on
と
a
して旅に
backpack
出
and
た
going
り
on
し
a
てね
trip. You know,
いわ
one
ゆ
of
る
those find
自
yourself
分探
trips.
しの旅ってやつかな
意外です
I'm
ね。
kind of surprised.
だろ
Right? I was young
僕
then.
もあの頃は若かったな
Could be the reason that Wakui is still talking about all this. I can eliminate the possibility that Neidhart is wrong. If he is, then I'll be fine. But it would be safer to assume the worst case scenario. Possibility number one is trying to drag out the conversation to learn something from us. His target might be just me, or it might be just Kazuki. And what if he isn't sure who it is yet? Maybe it's only after the person who created the portal device, and he isn't sure if it was me or Kazuki. Possibility number two. He's hesitant. He is our club advisor, after all. It's possible they feel some kind of sympathy for us. No, there's no chance of that.
でも僕として
But,
は
you know, I
宮
took
代
your
君の味
side.
方をしてあげたんだよクルス君
I
の言い
understand
分
how
もよく
Kurisu-kun
わかるん
feels,
だけど
but, you
ね
know, I'm a
やっ
man
ぱり
like
ほ
you.
ら僕も宮代くんと同じく男だから。
The masculine urge to be a menace to society. I don't know. Is he just waiting for us to fall into some trap? Or is he just not worried because he doesn't think we know who he really is? I sent a quick message back to Kazuki. We're going to run.
男子として
As someone who
共
was
感し
once
ちゃ
a
ったわ
boy,
け。
I sympathized. I too was once a boy.
それ単にあれこれ指導するのが面倒だったとかじゃないんですか。
失礼
How
だな。
rude. Well, to be
実際のと
honest,
ころは
you're
君の
right.
言う通りなんだけどね。
The response immediately came back from Kazuki. How? For now, I just wanted to get out of this room. And get away from Makui too, if I could manage it.
ただ、
But you know,
あんまり
It's not
や
good
ん
to
ちゃ
go
をするのは
too far.
良くないな。
huh?
君たちは
You're
まだ
still
学
students,
生
you
なん
see.
だからね。
If you break the
棒
law,
に触れる
you
よう
could
な
ruin
こと
your
をした
whole
ら、将来
futures.
を棒に振ってしまう。
ああ、
You mean the
取材の
reporting
話
we're
か。
doing?
いえ別に
No,
や
we
やましい
haven't
ことは
done
何もし
anything
てないし
wrong. That scared me. I thought he was talking about something else. Next thing I knew, my throat was parched. Mountain View. I gulped down the entire Mountain View I just bought from a vending machine earlier. This is looking bad. Both Kazuki and I are powerless. There's basically no chance of both of us getting away. I might have to pick the better of two bad choices. It's my only hope for avoiding the worst possible outcome.
なあ和樹
Hey, Kazuki. Kazuki jerked upward when I spoke to her. She slowly, fearfully turned around. She was so nervous her movements were stiff. Come on, act natural.
飲み物を買ってきて
Can
くれ
you
ない
go
か
get me something to drink?
ちょうど
I
なくなっ
just
ちゃって
ran out.
っていうか、宮代くんさ。
Are you still
まだ
planning on
ここに
staying
いる
here?
つもり？
I really have to get
こ
you
れでも
guys
僕、
home.
君たちを連れて帰らなきゃならない立場なんだけどな。
でも涌
I
井
want to
先生
hear
の
more
話
about what you have to
もうちょっ
say.
と聞きたいんで
What?
本当？
Really? That makes me
それは嬉し
happy.
いな。
Students
最
these
近の
days
生徒って
always
さ、
seem to get bored
僕
when we
の
talk
昔
about old
話なんて
times.
鬱陶しがるばかりでね。
Oh, buddy.
なんなら新
Why
聞
don't
部
we
で
do an
記事に
article
し
for
まし
the
ょうか
newspaper club?
涌
We
井
could
先
do a
生
whole
特集
special on you.
いやいや、
Oh,
そんなの
you're
出ちゃう
embarrassing
よ。
me. I was shocked to find that I was speaking as well as, say, Yuto.
和樹も
And
もうしば
Kazuki
らく
wants
ゲ
to
ーム
keep
をして
playing
いた
her
いだ
game
ろ
for a while, right? Kazuki stood up, uncertain.
付き合ってやるから
We'll stay here for a
その代わり
while,
自
so
販
go
機で
get me
ジュース
something
買っ
to
てきて
drink
よ
from the vending machine. And don't come back. I took a coin out of my pocket and practically forced it into Kazuki's hand.
よろしく
Thanks. You ran away without me. I tried to motion to her with my eyes. I don't know if she understood. She nodded, reluctantly. And then she slipped past me and had to throw the door.
和樹くん、
Kazuki-kun,
平気？
are you okay?
なんな
Want me
ら
to go
僕も
with you?
一緒に行こっか。
Stranger danger, even though he's not a stranger, stranger danger. Was he watching us? Did he figure us out? His expression was the same as it had been for a while now. It was the same goofy look the students always joked about.
大丈夫です
She
って
says she's fine.
今学校
There's
には
nobody
誰も
here
い
in
な
the
いし
school right now.
先生も何
If
か
you
飲み
want
たい
something
な
to
ら
drink too,
ガズキ
maybe
に
you could
買って
ask
きてもらった
Kazuki to get it for you. And then I realized that I might have made a mistake. Kazuki's hand was already on the doorknob.
あ、
Oh,
それじ
maybe
ゃ
I
あ頼
will.
もうかな。僕、缶コー
I'll
ヒ
take
ー
a
ね。
can of coffee.
伊藤のやつ。
The one with a little
わか
bit
る？
of sugar.
朝
You know
用
the
っ
one
て
that
書
I
いてある
mean?
んだけど、
It says for
赤
mornings
色の
on
缶
it.
だよ。
And it's in a red can. Kazuki glanced over at me. You're worrying too much about me. You'll figure out that something's wrong. Moku was rummaging through his inner pocket of his suit.
僕さ、
never put coins in my
小銭は
wallet,
財
you
布に
know.
入れない
I always
派
keep
なん
them in
だよね。
different
あ
pockets.
ちこちのポケットに直接入れて持ち運ぶんだ。そしたら
So if I ever
財
drop
布
my
を落とし
wallet,
た
I
時
won't lose
の
as much
被害
money.
分散にもなるし。
I don't know if that's fair or not.
お
No,
札は別
that
ね。
doesn't go for bills
ちゃんと
though.
札
I
入
put
れを
them
持
in
っ
a
てる
bill
よ。
holder. Fair. I'm so talkative today. How long does it take to search for change?
それに、
And
ほ
then,
ら、
you know,
自
if
分
you
で
forget where
ど
you
こ
put
に
your
い
money,
くら入れた
when you
か
find
忘
it
れちゃう
again,
とさ、
you feel like you've made a
後
lucky
で再発見
discovery.
した時に、少しラッキーって思ったりできるだろう。そういうささ
You need
や
those
か
kind
な
of
喜
small joys
び
in
が
life.
人生には必要なんだよ。
先生いい
Mr.
から早
Oakley,
くお金
hurry up
渡
and
して
give her the money.
僕
I'm
喉が
really
渇いて仕方ない
thirsty.
んですよ
I got a little aggravated. My tone was a bit harsh. But I instantly regretted it. If I didn't act calm, Waku would figure out what I was up to.
悪いね。
Sorry,
なか
I'm
なか
having
見つ
so
からな
much
くて
trouble finding it. Oh, here we go. Waku finally took a 200 yen out of his pants pocket.
じゃ、
Okay,
よろしく。
thanks.
うん。
Kozuki spread out her hand and was holding the few coins that I had given her. Naoki put his hand over hers and dropped 2 100 yen pieces. The coins fell. They collided with the coins in Kozuki's hand and didn't make a sound. Huh. That's weird. I should be able to hear the sound of 2 small pieces of metal colliding from this close by. Maku was rummaging through his pockets again as he opened and closed his mouth. What is he doing? Something feels off. And then I realized why I felt that way. Maku was talking to Kazuki, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. What the... I put my finger in my ear to see if it was clogged, and then I noticed something else weird. Normally I'd be able to hear the sound of my fingertip touching my eardrum, but no matter how many times I jammed my finger into the small hole, I didn't hear a sound. Come to think of it, I haven't heard any other sound for a while either. Why? What's going on? I tried speaking to Kazuki. Is something weird going on? I was sure I said that out loud, but I couldn't hear my own voice. Honestly, nice touch that there was no voiceover either. Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was just looking at the coins in her hand like she was about to cry. Can you hear me? I yelled louder. But it didn't work. Why? This doesn't make any sense. My hearing was normal a second ago. There's no way I could just go deaf out of nowhere like that. Something weird has to be happening right now, but I have no idea what it could be. I tried to tell myself that I might be hallucinating. I closed my lips and stood as still as I could. Man, this isn't an auditory hallucination because it's not hearing anything, but what would it count as? A non-auditory hallucination? I don't know. De-auditory? I listened carefully. Ellipsis. It wasn't pure silence. I could hear what sounded like a ringing in my ears. I could still hear it. How does ringing in a person's ears work again? Is it really sound in the strictest sense? Was it made by vibrating air? Or is it some kind of supersonic wave? Suddenly, I felt very nervous, and I opened up my web browser on my phone to run a search. When I read what I found there, I got scared. Stress is said to be one cause, but it's still unknown where exactly in the body it occurs. What the hell? I was sure that modern medicine would have had an answer for that. How could they just say they don't know? I mean, 10 years later, do we have an answer for that now? I'm not sure. Once I started noticing it, I couldn't ignore the ringing. The constant noise started to seem extremely unpleasant. Why was I hearing this ringing and nothing else? I looked back at Kazuki. She was holding her ears and looking around frantically. Is this happening to her too? Kazuki! I tried yelling. Kazuki didn't respond, but Wakui looked at me. His lips twisted into a grin. It was him. No shit. He was like a totally different person. The faces of the lazy, unreliable teacher had changed completely. The easygoing, peaceful smile was gone. And that was when I knew for sure. He really is an assassin for the committee, just like Neidhart said. What's happening to me right now must be because of him. But how is he possibly doing this? Is he a psychic too? It felt like the ringing was growing louder. It was all I could hear. It kept ringing on the same frequency, never letting up. It was like it was stabbing into my brain. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. There's no point in putting my hands over my ears. The ringing hadn't even been there for that long, but I already felt like I was going crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. I screamed. I tried yelling as loudly as I could. But it didn't work. No matter how much I howled, I couldn't hear my own voice. But you could have known it would be this stressful to not be able to hear your own voice. I put my hand to my throat and screamed again. I could feel my vocal cords vibrating. I knew I had to be speaking. But all I could hear was the noise. Was this really just a ringing in my ears anyway? It seemed like endless thunder in the sky. Maybe I was starting to go crazy. Maybe hearing the ringing for so long meant that I couldn't even recognize it as ringing anymore. Or maybe I was just hallucinating. My head started to hurt. Maybe. My field of vision kept wavering. I couldn't keep my balance. Even standing up became difficult. It was like standing on the deck of a ship during a storm. I fell to my knees, unable to stay up any longer. I begged to hear another sound. I stopped my own body and slammed my smartphone into the ground, desperate to hear any other kind of sound, but it didn't work. Then I felt my phone vibrating and looked at the screen. I got another email. Was it from Kazuki? Maybe she found a solution. I opened it, hopeful. But of course, my hopes were immediately crushed. And it was from Makui, not Kazuki. And this is what it said. They say that in a completely silent environment, a human will go mad within 45 minutes. I bet I can go mad in even less time, because I cannot stand absolute silence. I looked up. Makui was looking down at me with a cruel smile on his face. Fucks with your inner ear, emails you about it. There was a can of coffee in his hands. I wasn't sure when he'd gotten it. Man, his hearing is so fucked, his seeing colors very intensely. It's like a little rave in his head. He took a slow sip from it and laughed. What happened to Kazuki? I spun my head around, desperately looking for her. She was rolled up in a ball by the entrance to the room. She covered her ears with her hands and was shaking. She couldn't escape either. Did Wakui know all along? That we knew who he was and were trying to escape? I thought I could get the initiative, but he'd been laughing at me the whole time. Still, wasn't there anything I could do about this ringing sound? I thought it was a constant frequency, but it wasn't. There was a faint rhythm. What is this sound? I need to get rid of it somehow. Otherwise, I might really go crazy, just like Wakui said. Then my phone shook again. It was another email from Wakui. Do you want to know what that sound is? I looked up at Wakui and nodded. He laughed. He seemed truly happy. He moved his lips in big, easy-to-read motions. It's the sound of your body. It was only then that I realized that I was making so much noise, that there were so many different chaotic noises within my own body. It made sense. It was normal for a living creature. My heart was beating, my blood vessels contracted, my blood cycled, my cells were dying and new ones were being born. My lungs inhaled oxygen and exhaled carbon dioxide. My organs emitted all kinds of different fluids. My intestines contracted. My nails were growing, my hair was growing. All of those little things made tiny little noises, tiny little sounds. Normally, you would go through your entire life without hearing the sounds your own body made. Apparently, some autistic people will sometimes hear the sounds their bodies make because they're not as good as, like, consistently filtering it out. There's your not so fun fact of the day. But now, with my sense of hearing shut off, they were overflowing from within me. They were the sounds of my life. But there was no joy in hearing the breath of life so directly. I wasn't trying to make these sounds. I felt like my body wasn't mine. It felt like someone was giving my body orders without asking my permission. And once I started to think that way, I couldn't stop. If you have noise-canceling headphones on, you can hear all the sounds inside your own head. Am I not supposed to notice the sounds of my body every now and then? No. You're not. My mind and body had separated. And there was nothing but the terrifying sounds of life. My own body scared me. I wanted to rip my mind away from this lump of flesh. I wanted to rip off my skin and yank out my lungs, my heart, my intestines, every single organ, every single blood vessel. I screamed in fear, but I couldn't hear myself. Only the chaotic sounds of my body as they played in layered harmony. Since there was nothing else to hear, I was forced to listen. I was forced to imagine which organ was making each sound. Takaru, having a personal rave. Me, oh, you've never experienced this? Huh. I don't think you've personally experienced, like, literally every single sound of your body. Like, hearing some sounds of your body every now and again is definitely very different from what he's experiencing. And honestly, this kind of thing is part of why I don't necessarily like the idea of a sensory deprivation sensory deprivation pod, because I don't want to hear all of the sounds of my body, and I feel like that would happen to me personally. In the sensory deprivation chamber, that's the word I was looking for. I'm so normal. Anyways, the sounds overlapped more and more, a disharmonious noise that bounced off the walls of my skull. I didn't know if it was a real sound, an echo, or if I was just hallucinating. What if a sensory deprivation tank? Same idea. My thoughts were swept up into the flood of sound. This doesn't make sense. Why am I suffocating in a flood of sound if I can't hear? How long is this going to last? The rest of my life? I mean, if you die soon, probably. Until I die. I can't take that. Didn't he say that after 45 minutes I'll go insane? That's assuming you're not already insane. I'm not even going to last that long. I don't want to hear this noise for another second. Someone, turn it off. Okay, closes game. I'll do anything as long as you turn it off. I'd rather die. Who wants to die? Kill me. I crawled along the floor and reached out my hand toward Wakabi's feet. Kill me. I begged for death. Kill me. I wish for the silence that awaited beyond it. Kill me. Release me from the sound, please. Kill me. Well, okay. Wakabi's like, fine, this isn't fun anymore. You can have your noise back. Not likely certain videos about those rooms are why you caught on to what was happening to Taka before he did. Yeah, that's fair. You'd probably leave that sound room after 5 seconds. Same. Suddenly, a sound like shattering glass traveled from my ears to the rest of my body. I could finally hear my own voice again. And the sound of my shallow breathing was surprisingly clear. And it wasn't just that. The sound of my clothes rustling. The tiny chirping of birds in the distance. The sounds of the wind or the leaves blowing through trees. The sound of a police car siren. The sounds of Kazuki's pained coughing as she curled up in a ball next to me. I could hear all those tiny sounds. I could hear every single sound in the world with abnormal clarity. But what just happened? My vision was blurry. My head still hurt. But the sound was back. I've never been so happy in my life to hear all this noise. I see that we were interrupted. Wakui spoke calmly as he walked to the windowsill. The glass on the clubroom window was broken. Ah. He picked something off the floor. It was a ball. Baseball, huh? A coincidence? I think not. And baseball came through the window? And that was what interrupted Wakui's attack? But this is the 5th floor. Who threw that ball? The baseball team isn't practicing outside. And this room doesn't even face the baseball diamond anyway. The only people in the school... No. This whole surrounding area should just be me, Kazuki, and Wakui. I suppose this is her way of saying that if I'm going to mess with Miyashiro-kun and his friend, I need to give her a very good reason. Sheesh. Surely does spoil you, Miyashiro-kun. I wonder who this she is. What? He doesn't seem to be talking to anyone. He's not speaking to us. He's not on the phone. What the hell is he talking about? Alright, that's enough for today, I guess. Miyashiro-kun, Kazuki-kun, I'm afraid we'll have to continue this another time. Makui's voice was gentle, but he didn't even glance down at us as he went to the door. I'll tell you one thing though. Don't think you can get away. That's nice. You've gone too far. The committee has designated you as an enemy of the world. The matter's been decided, you see. That's nice. No matter where on Earth you run, we'll use our worldwide network to track you. We won't let you escape. Ever. Thanks. Goodbye. And be careful on your way home. Makui left. And Kazuki and I were left alone. I could hear Kazuki moan. I could hear her breathing clearly.
Kazuki,
are you okay? I was surprised to hear my voice. Was this really what my voice sounds like? Oh. Oh dear, she wet herself, didn't she? I mean, like, fair, but... Kazuki was still lying on the ground, shaking her head. Of course she wasn't okay. I looked closer and saw there was a puddle under her legs. Her skirt was strangely wet, too. She spilled the Mountain View, don't worry about it. She must have peed herself when Makui attacked her. And I don't blame her. That's just how terrifying that horrible experience was. But why did Wakui let us go? Why did he only torture us instead of just killing us? I didn't know, and I didn't want to think about it. I didn't even have the energy to stand up, but I forced myself to do so anyway. At the very least, I didn't want to stay here. There was probably nowhere that was safe, but I wanted to get away before Wakui changed his mind. I let Kazuki lean on my shoulder as we left the school. Of course, we saw no one on the way home. October 17th, 2015, Saturday. Today's a Saturday. Gasp. It was after 7 p.m. in the evening, but there wasn't a single train car coming down the Yamanote line. And it wasn't just the trains. The entire city Shibuya was now a ghost town. And there was no light, and nothing moved. The town itself was eerily clean. And that was the big difference between now and 6 years ago. Wakui went inside the pedestrian tunnel under the train tracks, listening to the voices of the monsters howling in the distance. The night wind blew past him, colder than before. The moonlight didn't reach inside the tunnel, so it was extremely dark. Makui could sense a lone girl in the darkness.
お待たせ。
Well,
時間通り
hello.
かな。
Right on time, I suppose. Yep, knew it. Hi. The girl he'd summoned moved away from the wall she'd been leaning on, then stood with her back to the moonlight. Her eyes shone with a strange light that made Wakui shudder.
これ、返
You
し
can
て
have
おく
this
よ。
back. Here. Wakui tossed the baseball he was holding at the girl. She didn't even try to catch it. Instead, it struck her in the chest and fell to the floor, where it bounced several times.
あ、いらない
No, you didn't need it
それ
back?
とも学校
Or was it
の
school
備品だっ
property?
たかな。
Tell me why you attacked Miyashita Takuya and Kazuki Hana. That was what the girl, Onoe Serika, demanded to know. And that wasn't her usual feminine voice either. You could hear the arrogance in it. Wakui deserved her respect given his position, but she showed no sign of it. Given his position, rather. He didn't like that at all, but he also didn't feel like bringing it up. The committee, as well as Wakui, its messenger, had decided to respect Serika's position, at least for as long as their interests were aligned.
僕の返答
Were
次
you
第
willing
で
to
は
fight the committee,
君は委
depending on
員
my
会の
answer?
敵に回るのかな。君はさっき
You interrupted
僕
me
のこと
back
を
there.
妨害したね。
That was more than sufficient for the
あの
committee to
行為
decide to
は
eliminate
委
you.
員会が君を排除する理由として十分すぎるほどのものなんだけど。
I won't let you kill Miyashita Takuya on a whim. If you want to try, you need to tell me why. Depending on your reason, I'll either allow it or cut ties with you.
黙認ね。
Allow it, huh?
まあ、
Well, I guess
確かに
that
君と
was
は
the
そうい
deal
う
we
協定
made.
を結んでいたけれど。それにし
But
て
you
も
know,
君は
he really
い
is
つ
all you
だっ
ever
て
think
彼の
of,
ことし
isn't
か
he?
考えてないね
It's。quite impressive.
実に潔いよ。
The Committee of 300 was cooperating with Onoe Serika. Or, to be more precise, they were allowing her to get away with what she was doing. Tell me why. Serika glared directly at Wakui. She didn't look away for an instant. Her face was expressionless, and it was hard to believe that a teenage girl could be so calm in the situation. Wakui slumped his shoulders in a slightly exaggerated fashion.
我々が問題に
Our
している
problem
の
was with
は
Kazuki Hana,
宮代
not
拓
Miyashita
ではな
Takuya,
く
you see.
和樹花の方でね。やりすぎたんだ
Just gone
よ
too far.
彼女は。これじゃ
This is the same
6年
nonsense
前
you
の
went
二
through
の舞
6
じゃない
years
か。
ago.
我々はこの町で
We've
粛
been very
々と実
quietly
験を
performing
行
our
っていたと
experiments
いう
here
の
in the
に、
city,
ここ
and
ま
now
で
there's
大
all
きな
this
騒ぎを起こ
chaos.
されたよね。力をコント
Since
ロ
she
ー
can't
ルでき
control
な
her
いがゆ
power,
えに
it's
彼
not
女
fair
の
to
責
put
任
all the
だとは
blame on
一
her.
概に言えないが
But still, the
彼
fact
女
of the
の妄
matter is
想が
that the
リアルブ
delusion
ート
she
したことが
rebooted is
原
what
因なの
caused
は
this
確かだ。
problem.
彼女一人
The
のせい
actions of
で
this one
渋
girl
谷
have
の秩
disrupted
序、
order in
ひいて
Shibuya,
は世界
and
の
maybe
秩
even
序
the
までが
entire
乱れて
world.
しまった。しかも彼女の
There's
背
also
後に
the
はあの
unconfirmed
西
report
条
that Nichijou
匠がいると
Takumi
の
may
未
be
確
backing
認
her
情
as
報まであ
well.
ってはね。
I honestly forgot what Takumi's full name was, so it's kind of weird getting his full name here. Full government name.
このまま事態が収束しなけ
This
れば
matter isn't
ギガロ
settled.
マニ
Not
アッ
only
クス
will
の
the
存
world
在が
find
世
out
間
about
一
the
般に知られて
Gigolo
しま
maniacs,
うどころ
but
か
the whole world may be
人類
swallowed up
が
by
和樹
Kazuki
花
Hana's
一人の妄想
delusions.
に飲まれる可能性すら出てくる。委員会は
I
ビ
could
ビ
see
り
from
す
the
ぎ
look on your face
と
that
い
you
う
think the
顔をしている
committee
ね。
is overreacting.
だが
Well, that's just who we
これは
are.
勝負んだよ。
If the committee
それ
wasn't
ぐらい
this
慎重に
cautious,
ならな
we
けれ
would
ば
never
委
have
員
gotten
会
this
は
far.
今の地位にはいられなかった。とにかく我々
Yes,
は
we've designated
和樹
Kazuki
花
Hana
を
as
世
an
界の
enemy of
敵
the
に認
world.
定した。とはいえ
But still,
彼
she
女は
is a
実
very
験
fair
対象と
test
しては稀有な個
sample.
体であり
It would be a
殺
waste
すに
to
は
kill
惜しい
her.
というわけでね
So, the committee has
委員
settled
会
on
の
the
方
plan of
針は
driving her
和
insane
樹花
and
の
capturing
心を
her
壊して
alive.
生け捕りにするってことになったわけ。宮代拓
Miyashita
は
Takeru is
つ
just
いで
an
だよ。
afterthought.
和樹
I
花と
don't
一
think
緒
there's
にい
any
たか
other
ら
reason
と
beyond
い
the
う
fact
理
that
由
he
以
was
上の
with
ものは
her.
ないかな。君との協定もあ
We
る
have
し
our
ね。
agreement with you as well.
殺すつもりはな
I've
い
got no
よ。
intention of killing him. I
少
just wanted to
し
teach him
急
a
を据え
lesson.
てやろうと思ったぐらいだ。和樹花を
Once we
回
have
収した
Kazuki
ら
Hana,
宮
I
代
plan to
拓
give
の
him
方は
back to
君
you.
に返す予定だよ。もっとも
But of course, if
君
you
が
so
望む
wish,
なら
we
殺
can
す
kill
こ
him
ともできる
instead.
けど
What do you say?
どうする？
Sarika thought for a moment, and lightly kicked her foot against the wall of the tunnel. The sound echoed through the tunnel. You told me your reason, so I'll allow it. That was her answer. So, you'll let me decide whether to kill him or let him live? Is that it? Yes. You're sure? It's fine. Yeah. You really are insane. So long as Miyashiro Takeru enjoys it, you're willing to sacrifice the man himself. Yeah. Or maybe you're simply born with different values than the rest of us. By the way, I'm unfortunately not an entertainer, so it may not be as good as this as you are. Keep that in mind. Seneca ignored his joke, not enjoyed it at all. It was clear that she felt his delusions were finished. Wow, I can't speak or read. It was clear that she felt discussions were finished. Can I ask you one question? What do you intend to do after Miyashiro Takeru dies? And there's nothing for me after that. Seneca laughed, then turned around to leave. I see. How noble. Oh, Onai-kun. There are monsters around, so be careful on your way home. But Seneca didn't even bother looking back. Alright. If that's the deal, maybe I can be a little more open with how I act. You could lure out Nishijo Takeru too. That would be ideal. But for now, the problem is Kazuki Hana and Miyashiro Takeru. Mokui took out his phone and dialed a number on the contact list. The phone rang for a while before it connected. Yes, hello? I'm Mr. Wakui, the student council advisor. I need to speak with the student council president for a moment. Is she available? Dawn came. We spent over 12 hours running, with no real destination in mind. After Wakui's attack, Kazuki and I had hidden in Shinsen Love Hotel. In a Shinsen Love Hotel, rather. All this chaos had turned Shibuya into a ghost town. There were several love hotels in Shinsen that had closed down. We snuck inside one of them and held each other tight, hiding and trying to make as little noise as possible. I knew that it wasn't going to do us very much good. It was obvious Wakui knew everything he needed. But even if it was only a difference of a few percentage points in the likelihood of us being found, I wanted to stay somewhere else rather than stupidly going back to the dorm. Of course, spending all my time at one place meant that I had nothing to do but think and worry. He might find us if we stay here. He might have already found us. He could attack us any minute. Those fears became delusions. Those delusions started to drive me crazy. So every hour or two we would hide somewhere else. Since we couldn't get close to Shibuya Station, we went to bookstores, department stores, and wikidis around the area. They were all closed, so we used Kazuki's D-store to break their shutters and go inside, then hid there for just a few hours. But no matter how many times we went to a different place, my worry didn't disappear. And the power Wakui had shown us was just that overwhelming. It wasn't physical power, it was psychological torture that drained all your will to resist. Just remembering it made my whole body shrivel up with terror. And of course, I didn't get a wink of sleep. Kazuki was no different. She spent the whole time clinging to me and shaking. She was so weak that she couldn't even walk on her own. She was physically exhausted, of course, but the psychological exhaustion was worse. She hadn't even tried to say a word since then. I tried to pry her off me, but she stubbornly kept clinging. So I had no choice but to walk with my arm around her.
Kazuki,
we're here. We'd been heading for a manga cafe. Fortunately, there were plenty of places to hide at Shibuya right now. The shutter was down at the entrance of the building with the manga cafe. Kazuki, break it for us. Come on, please. Instead of taking her D-sword out, Kazuki just kept clinging to me. I had no choice but to try and physically force the shutter to rise. It didn't work. There's no sign of my power, telekinesis, manifesting itself, and I couldn't find my own D-sword. I didn't want to die. But I was so tired. I had no idea that running in fear for just half a day could be so exhausting. With nothing else to do, I slumped down against the shutter. Still, Kazuki wouldn't let go at all. Still, Kazuki wouldn't get off me. We probably weren't going to be able to keep running for much longer. Makui had been quite clear. I'll tell you one thing though. Don't think you can get away. Thinking about the future made me despair. It was up to someone else whether we lived or died, and that someone was coming for us soon. I doubted that we could escape when he arrived. And even if we could, there was only so long we could keep running for before he inevitably caught us. We had no future. I even considered committing suicide. The idea of facing Wakui's psychological attack again made me more scared than anything else. If only someone would come to save us. Suddenly, I heard a sound nearby, and I cowered in place before I even knew what I was doing. I curled up into a ball to protect my head. I knew there was no point, but my instincts made me do so anyway. But a short while later, I realized it was just the sound of a smartphone, and I gave a deep sigh. It was Kazuki's phone that was ringing, not mine. The sound kept playing, which meant that it was a phone call, not an email. Kazuki was looking at me with terror in her eyes. A phone call? Who's it from? And the screen said Nono-senpai. And it was Kurisu. Kazuki was unsure if she should answer it. Yes, she did. Maybe Wakui would go after Kurisu too. She probably wanted to avoid that. But right now, we needed any kind of help we could get. It could be Kurisu, Serika, Ito, or even Neidhart. We just wanted someone to do something to save us from this nightmare. I grabbed the phone out of Kazuki's hands and answered it. Hello? No, good morning. This is Wakui. Just hearing his voice filled my mind with despair. I was too scared to speak. That's strange. I was sure I called Kazuki-kun's phone. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. I'm sure she's right next to you, right? This can't be happening. Kurisu's name is on the screen. So am I hearing Wakui's voice? I thought for a second, and then the worst case scenario occurred to me. What did you do to Kurisu? No. You understand the situation already. I'm glad you're quick on the uptake. Did you kill her? No. But I don't know what I might do in the future. What do you mean? Let's meet at noon today at the Theater Cube, at the 11th story of the Hikari-ro building. Can both of you come? And if we don't, will you kill Kurisu? I suppose I will. I mean, we just got so much cleanup work to do. Cleanup from what, you might ask? What Kazuki-kun did, of course. So, it would be a big help if you would just show up. My bosses want me to go big, you see. Of course, I'm not planning on adding to the chaos. And in fact, we're going to be censoring all the information about what's going on in Shibuya right now. But there have been several annoying little rats running underfoot for the last 6 years. You two and Kurisu-kun are bait to draw them out. Of course, I have no other interest in you, Miyashita-kun. So as long as you're on time, there's nothing to be worried about. Thanks. See you at noon, okay? Make sure you're not late. Teachers always sad when his students keep him waiting. After his monologue, Wakui hung up. God damn it. Kurisu has been kidnapped. I looked at the time on the phone. It was past 9. Wakui kidnapped Kurisu. Kazuki looked up at me in shock. I told her that if we didn't go see Wakui at noon, she was going to die. We've got less than 3 hours now. If we went, we were definitely going to die. There just wasn't enough time left. We didn't even have time to think about another option. I felt like I was about to cry. But I stopped myself. Why? Why? Nono-senpai? How the hell should I know? I slammed my fist against the shutter in frustration. I knew the answer, of course. I knew it so well it hurt. This is all my fault. I got Kazuki and Kurisu involved in this just to save my own life. What should I do? What am I supposed to do? There's nothing I can do. I have no way of fighting back against Wakui. Both Kazuki and I are powerless. But if we don't go to the meeting spot, Kurisu will be killed. It doesn't matter whether or not Wakui intends to keep his promise. Our only choice is to do what he said. But he's telling us to go get killed. Just imagining it made my knees shake too much for me to stand up. My life was going to end soon. It had been a short life, and I never thought it would end like this. Where had things gone wrong? I want to save her.
Huh?
I want to save Nono-senpai. Just this once. She didn't say maybe. But it's impossible. She'd seen it for herself how scary Wakui is. There's nothing we can do. But if we try to hurt him and piss him off, he might do something even worse to us. It'd be far better to just let him kill us. Huh? Nightheart can do something. Maybe. Maybe he can. But he always seemed really shady. I can't imagine him agreeing to help us just like that. Even so, we decided to talk to him anyway. There wasn't time to think about it, so we headed straight back to Kazuki's dorm. She loaded up ESO2 on her PC immediately. Nightheart was logged in, like usual. She quickly sent a message to open a chat log. Yo, you're safe? I was sure you were dead. I'm still alive. Only for a few more hours, though. Give me the TLDR. Makui took a girl from our club. We go to him at noon. Otherwise she dies. Well, you're fucked. What is this asshole's problem? There's a lot wrong with him. You don't have the time for that, Takeru. Our lives are at risk here. How can he be so relaxed? This is making me want to punch the computer screen. What's your plan? Help us. But I refuse. What? What? You monster. Sorry, but I'm not as useful as you guys think I am. I'm not sure about that, buddy. I'm a lot less useful than your average normie. I used to be pretty powerful. But at the end of the last fight, I wasn't even human anymore. I gave my power up to come back from that. And now I can't use it anymore. How much of that did you just make up? If you want to accuse me of being a Chuny, go for it. Anyway, Wakui's goal is to get his hands on me. I'm completely powerless, so no way in hell am I going. I got problems of my own. I can't just drop everything and come to Shibuya. Who are you, really? I'm not important. What's important is Wakui. I told you yesterday that he's an assassin for the Committee of 300, right? There's nothing like the Chaos Child Syndrome patients that appeared after the Shibuya earthquake. He's more like me. A 100% pure Giglio-maniac. He's not as strong as I used to be, but still a powerful Giglio-maniac. To be honest, you Chaos Child Syndrome patients don't stand a chance. What's Chaos Child Syndrome? It means you're a psychic. It's too lazy to explain more. So you're basically telling us to die? The Committee 300 has designated you as the enemy of the whole world, you see, so there's no way you can escape. That's what Wakui said too. I don't know if he's going to kill you, but if he gets his hands on you, you're not going to like what happens. You got 3 options. You can abandon your friend and run away and buy yourselves another day or 2 before you get caught. You can surrender to Wakui and beg him to spare your friend. But in Wakui's case, there's a good chance that he's not going to do that. And your last choice? The odds are incredibly low, but you can fight Wakui and try to turn the tables. There's a way to fight him? Can we win? No, odds are pretty much 0. The same odds as drinking a soda and not burping. But if you can pull it off, you'll have a shot to turn things around. I don't think the odds of drinking a soda and not burping are 0. Like, close to 0. Like, I don't know. Is that really possible? It was hard to tell if Neidhart was being serious or joking. But both Kazuki and I were willing to bet on the smallest possible chance. Depends on how fast you drink the soda, I guess, but also I don't really remember the last time I burped, frankly. And I do drink soda still, so like, it's definitely not related to that. But both Kazuki and I were willing to bet on the lowest chance or something like that. Tell me, what can we do? The Sumo stickers. Huh? The Sumo stickers. There are a lot of them in Shibuya. Don't you know about it? We looked at one another. In the midst of despair, we found a small ray of hope. I felt like there was a faint light shining down on us from above. Did we know about the Sumo stickers? That's a stupid question. We know all about them. Till a short while ago, we were obsessed with them. I know them. I know all about them. Good. That makes things faster. There are basically 2 types of Sumo stickers in Shibuya. You use the ones for the committee. We'll use the ones the Committee of 300 put up. Good so far? What's so different about that design? The stickers put up by the committee have the power to weaken Giglio-maniacs and Chaos Child patients. I do think I got sick looking at them. That's the effect you're looking for. Does nothing to people without powers, though. And you use the stickers for your own benefit. You weaken Wakui. You slowly, tantalizingly, strip off your shirt. You beat Wakui. You put on your shirt and leave. The end. There's no reason for me to take off my shirt. No, that's not the issue here. Who would have thought the Sumo stickers held such a secret? So that was the real reason I felt sick when I saw them. Maybe the Committee 300 won't expect us to use their own Sumo stickers against them, but... the question is how we do it. A single sticker only has so much power. The most it could do is make him a little queasy.
How
can we use that to weaken a monster like Wakui?
聞いてみる。
I'll ask. What exactly do we do? The only way is to use Kazuki's power, right? It's not gonna be that easy. Yeah, I know. Like I said, the odds are as good as belching after you drink a soda. But if you want to beat Wakui, you gotta work with what you've got. You gotta be willing to take on the whole world. This is your last hope, and it's probably not gonna work. Whether you're willing to try it anyway, just because you want to survive. That's up to you, not me. So, we were wasting our time. I'd expected as much. There's no way to use Kazuki's power to pull that off. One of the reasons this had to even happen in the first place was because she couldn't control her power. I collapsed to the ground. Giving up made me feel a little better. I didn't want to die, of course, but I could at least be calmer than when I was dealing with the fear. We're doomed. We're dead, no matter what happens. And besides, is there really any chance the whole let Kurisu go? Of course not. She'll be killed either way. There's nothing we can do about it. Thinking back, everything that's happened to Shibuya is because of my own selfishness. I should have just gotten killed at the start of all of this. That's right. I shouldn't even be alive. You never should have saved me back there at school. Kazuki punched the wall, hard. The sound echoed loudly in the quiet room. I could hear her gritting her teeth. I hate my power, but... That's right. Kazuki was always the type of girl who was open with her emotions. She used to punch the wall all the time when she was playing USO too. But... I want to save Nono-senpai. I want to save her. Tears streamed down her face as she told me how she felt. I never thought she cared about Kurisu this much. I was so happy when Nono-senpai invited me to the newspaper club. Being about her was the one thing that kept me going. I'm really grateful to Nono-senpai. That's why I want to save her. I don't want to abandon her. How would we even save her? There's nothing we could do. Can you control your power? You can't. This is all happening because you couldn't control it. I know that. But you don't care about what happens to Nono-senpai? I don't care what happens after. I don't want to think about it. My quest right now is to save Nono-senpai. Quest? This isn't a game. And you're never going to finish that quest unless you sacrifice yourself. Once she was done talking, all she did was cry. Kazuki, you really hate to lose, huh? Fair. She nodded as she rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand. So she is aware of that. She hates to lose, which is why she's always so serious when she plays her games. But would that really be enough to make her want to go so far to help another person? Yeah? Hey, Kazuki. Why did you try to save me? Because of the newspaper club. It was a very simple answer, almost disappointingly so. To me, Kozuki was just the quiet, unfriendly girl that Kurisu had brought to the club. She was always playing her games, and she never talked, so honestly, I kind of tried to avoid her. The most I ever thought of her was that she was sometimes useful in putting together the data Ito and I had gathered on the computer. To me, she barely even been part of the newspaper club. And you gave me a place to belong. You let me stay there, even though I never talked. I really liked you all. No. And of course you too, Takaru-senpai. So, when I saw you in trouble, I wanted to help you. She was a much kinder girl than I'd ever imagined. She probably couldn't refuse when someone asked her for help. When she felt like someone had been kind to her, she would never forget it. It was only now that I finally understood who Kazuki Hana truly was. And you really do want to save her, huh? If you wanted to save Kurisu and damage Wakubi, we need to plunge the entire world into chaos, and then die before you fixed any of it. The odds were incredibly low. Even Kazuki didn't know what would happen when she used her power. We're gonna die anyway. Maybe we should give it a try. Let's do it. Together. Kazuki smiled in relief, with tears in her eyes. I didn't feel any better about it, though. If someone wanted to take my place, I'd gladly switch. But there was some small chance that at least Kurisu could survive. Maybe it was just a little better than letting him kill us. I left the dorm. We'd talked for a while about how exactly we were going to confront Wakui, until there was just an hour left before the time he'd given. Fear filled my chest. I took deep breaths so that I could stay calm. There wasn't much we could do. More than anything, if we wanted to use Kazuki's power to its fullest, we needed to go someplace with a lot of people. The most populated place in Shibuya right now was the Hikari-wo. Actually, every other place in Shibuya was empty. Ito had told me yesterday that people without any home except Shibuya had taken the place over. We were lucky that Wakui had told us to go there. The plan was to arrive early and just have Kazuki say as many words as possible. If something happened, good for us. It wasn't even fair to call this a plan. But with only an hour left, there was nothing else we could do. I'm ready. Maybe. Kazuki came out of the dorm. Did you change? Just my shirt and underwear, maybe. Oh, I see. Kazuki had wet herself when Wakui had attacked her, so I made her change. It would have been better if she'd switched into something easier to move around in, but for some reason she was still in her uniform. If you wanted to get to the Hikari-wo, you had to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. Fortunately, after everyone's efforts yesterday, we knew where they were. I had the location saved on my Pokécom. They could use it to take the safest and shortest route to the Hikari-wo. I am sensing where the bad ending is coming into play. Naturally, Kazuki looked very gloomy. I couldn't blame her. We were heading to our deaths after all. But even so, that didn't mean we could stay here quivering in fear. If we didn't go, we couldn't save Kurisu. Let's go. I urged Kazuki on as we headed for the station. But I'd underestimated things. I underestimated how dangerous Shibuya was. I underestimated how much the delusion Kazuki had created had echoed. I'd underestimated everything. I ran and ran and found myself in a typical Shibuya back alley. How did this happen? It was a terrifying roar from behind us. The footsteps were loud enough to shake the ground, and they were getting closer. I turned back, afraid and in despair. A huge red dragon thing was following us through the narrow alley. Kazuki was clinging to my arm, completely out of breath. How did this happen? To put it simply, the map was wrong. There was a discrepancy between the map we'd made for the portal devices and where they really were. And because of that, I ran straight into the monsters like an idiot. This is all my fault. I made a mistake because I got careless. I should have been more careful when going over all of this with the newspaper club yesterday. But now that I've screwed up, there's no point in dwelling on yesterday's mistakes. At this rate, we'll both end up as dragon food. If that happens, I won't make it to the Ikaribo, let alone save Kurisu. It's not like I believed I'd be able to survive either way. But I was hoping that at least Kurisu could. If I get eaten by a monster here, then I'll have died for nothing. Kazuki was still panting, her shoulders shaking with pain. Her forehead was covered in sweat. I couldn't count on her for anything for a while. This was my screw-up, and I had to be the one to fix it. So I started looking around. I was searching for my D-sword. If only I could use that weapon. I've seen Arimura and Kazuki use it, so I know very well how powerful it is. Maybe it would be enough for me to fight back against that monster. It'd be better than trying my karate, at least. I mean... So come on. Come on, D-sword, appear! And of course, I had no guarantee it would. But it'd be really convenient for me to find my D-sword here and now. But I had to pray anyway. However, despite my wishes, it's not here. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Why? Would it hurt to help me out just this once? I couldn't help but complain to God, or maybe fate. In the face of death, in the face of overwhelming power, why couldn't they at least give me a little hope? Come on, D-sword! I screamed. And then the monster screamed too. Oh no, I pissed it off. It was finally starting to calm down. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle a moan of terror. And in my mind, I tried to focus on using the only weapon I had. I was looking at a scooter parked on the road. I glared at it and gritted my teeth. I focused and prayed with all my heart. Move! I could use my power to slam it into the monster's head. I could buy us time. Even if I couldn't use my D-sword, if I could at least use this. I wasn't able to use it at all when I'd been chased by the pyrokinetic this time. Move, 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 move. That's what I have you for, right? That's why I was given this power, right? In manga and anime, the main character's power always awakens at times like this. Now. It has to be now. I can't die here. I need to save Kurisu. So move. 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 Move, 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 move. Move! I screamed. I focused and prayed. I bit my lips so hard that it started bleeding. But my power didn't appear. Heaven had given up on me. Fate was telling me to die here. I know I'm going to die already. I know I won't live past today. But at least let me choose where I die. This isn't fair.
Kazuki.
So once again, save me. I made a selfish request. Do something about that monster. This tiny, weak, and silent little girl. I gave up and entrusted everything to her. We're going to die at this rate. We'll die before we even get to the Hikariwo. Kazuki had finally caught her breath. She gulped once and moved away from me toward the monster.
なんとかなる
You
んだ
can do something, right?
なんとかして
You'll
くれ
do
るんだよ
something,
な
right? She shook her head.
そんなの
I don't know.
わからない
Maybe.
かもだけどできるこ
I have to do what I
と
can.
やるしかないから
That was all she said.
フレイムアー
The
クド
flame
ラ
arc
ゴンは
dragon
死ぬ
will die. And that was what she screamed.
フレイムア
The
ーク
flame
ド
arc
ラ
dragon
ゴンは死ぬ
will die. She tried to use her words to make a delusion echo again. The flame arc dragon will die. But
無駄だ
it's hopeless. It's hopeless, Kazuki. Your words won't echo through Shibuya right now. They won't spread. There's a curfew. No one's out here to hear you. The flame arc dragon will die. The flame arc dragon will die. Kazuki must have known it was useless too. But she kept screaming. The flame arc dragon will die.
死ぬ
But even her sad, useless struggle was cut off by a roar that shook the air. The monster had been keeping its distance, but now it howled and charged again. Its huge red body bore down on us. And there was nowhere to run. We were going to be eaten, just like that reporter. Kazuki, do something! Kazuki readied her D-sword. She stood in front of the monster. She was so small compared to it, but I still had hope. Maybe that sword could do it. Maybe that D-sword would surely kill the monster. Kazuki attacked. She charged at the monster and swung the sword down. Go! Cut through it! We're going to survive and make it to the Hikari Wo. So please, survive, Kazuki. Ellipsis. But of course, reality wasn't so kind. And the monster howled once again and whipped out its front leg. Kazuki's body flew away. Its legs were thicker than tree trunks, and the claws were sharp. It was a simple matter for her to tear apart a human body. It was just like stepping on an insect. Kazuki had been killed. It happened so fast, I couldn't even follow it. But even so, I screamed. And strength left my legs, and the next thing I knew I was lying on the ground. I couldn't stand. I didn't have the strength. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was such an idiot. I was wrong to ever think I could take a monster like this head on. It didn't even matter whether I was using my power or my D-sword. And the monster ignored the body thump that once had been Kazuki and turned toward me. I had underestimated it. All the monsters in Shibuya just looked so unreal that it felt like I was playing a game. I thought that I would be the one who was okay. I thought that since Kazuki had created these delusional monsters that they wouldn't attack her. But now, Kazuki was dead. She'd been slaughtered by the delusions she'd created. This was insane. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think it was real. A huge jaw swung down in front of me. The breath that came out of it smelled terrible. The terror pierced my Terror pierced my body as I heard the monster roar. I was forced to realize that it was powerless to do anything but become its next prey. The monster put no special thought into eating its prey. It just ate whatever was in front of it. The dragon opened its mouth. I saw countless rows of fangs. It could crush a human skull the same way that I could eat a candy bar. I'm sorry, Kurisu. In the end, I couldn't do anything at all. I couldn't save anyone at all. This is all my fault. No, it's time to take responsibility for all the chaos I've caused. I could feel the monster's fangs bite deep into my body. I could tell that it had bitten off my torso. Just before everything went black, I realized that this was what it meant to become something's dinner. Bad end. That was fun. Okay. Oh, can I not check the log? Well, that's not great. Okay, should be a station. The police station. Ah, okay. This one. Oh, it does have the 707 marked. Well, anyways, now we get a speed run up until they get to that part where they're moving around and whatnot, so isn't that fun? Oh look, it's showing the thing. I displayed the map on my Pokécom. There's a photo of the map in the cloud room I had taken yesterday. If we wanted to get to the Hikariwa, we would have to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. The fastest and safest route from Hekiho Dorm 1 to the station was... We'll take Meiji Dori. We could take the subway tunnel next to Miyashita Park to go underground and head straight to the Hikariwa. Kazuki nodded and slowly offered me a piece of dried squid. I quickly realized that she wanted me to eat it. So, this is our last meal, huh? I gratefully took the squid from Kazuki and bit into it. The unique smell and taste filled my mouth. That's good. As I felt like I was starting to cry, Kazuki grabbed me by the arm. Her tiny body was still shaking. We were going to die, so of course she was. She may have hated to lose, but that didn't mean she wasn't scared. I patted her lightly on the back to encourage her, then started to lead the way. But her plan quickly hit a stumbling block. Our investigation yesterday hadn't found any portals around here, but... I thought there might be one here. We concealed ourselves as we looked down from the pedestrian bridge onto the Meiji Dori. We found 5 huge dragons covered in yellow and black scales were stomping up and down the block. When I looked in the direction of the station, I could see the distinctive light of a portal device 50 meters ahead of us. We went back to the park and hid. That thing wasn't there yesterday. If it was in some place that obvious, one of us would have seen it. Then... it probably appeared sometime after we left yesterday. What do we do? How are we supposed to get to the Hikariwa now? There isn't much time left. The portal devices are appearing in a circle around Shibuya Station. The Hikariwa is right next to the station on the east side. We can't use the trains. There's no trains coming to the Shibuya Station. We may have to do something dangerous, maybe. Like, break through. It's true that getting within 100 meter radius of a portal device doesn't mean you're definitely going to be attacked. If we can just get there fast without them finding us. What if, for example, we were run from our present location, the back of the Miyashita Park Management Office, over the pedestrian bridge, down the stairs, and then to the subway entrance? It's too dangerous. She looks confused. Doesn't she realize why it's dangerous? Alright then, it's time for a lecture. We don't really know what those monsters were physically capable of, do we? They're originally creatures from a video game, after all. Yeah, a game that she's autistic about.
私
I fought
ゲー
them a
ムじゃ
lot in the
何度も
game.
戦ってる。
そういう
That's
問題
not
じゃ
the
ないか
issue.
ら。ゲームで
It's
戦うの
different
と
fighting them in the
現実
game
で
versus
戦うの
fighting
はわ
them
け
in
が違
real
うんだ。
life.
あいつらが本
We
気出
haven't
した時
seen
の
for
足の
ourselves
速
how
さと
fast
狡
or
猾さ
smart they
は
can be.
僕らはこの身で体感してない。それに
And
仮に
even
路
if we
上を
do
うろ
make
つい
it
ている
past
奴
the
らを
ones
や
on
り
the
過ごす
road,
だとして
we don't know
地下
what
鉄の駅の中に
that
他の
there
化け物が
weren't
いない
on
と
the
は限
subway
らない。
station.
いざそうなった時
If
退
there
路が
were,
なくな
we'll
る。
have nowhere to run,
地上に戻る
since
わ
we
けに
can't
はい
head
かなく
back
な
up
るん
the
だから。
stairs.
それは想
It's
定
the
される
worst
中で
possible
最悪の事態
scenario.
だ。
Which was another reason I wanted to approach things from a safe spot. If we died before we could use Kazuki's power, there would be no point. We won't be able to save Kurisu or her Walkavi.
うん。
Kazuki seemed to agree. I loaded the map, put image back onto my Pokecom.
最寄り駅まで
And
遠
it's not
回り
enough
してい
time
る
left
時
to
間
go
的
to
な
another
余裕もそ
station
んな
and
に
head
ない。
around from there. I thought about heading down the tracks from Shinsen, Daikanamiyan, or Omotesando stations, but that wasn't realistic. Those stations were still running. If one of the staff caught us sneaking onto the tracks, we could lose valuable time. Was there any other way? I stared at the map.
地図上では抜け道
It
はある
seems
よう
like
に
there
見
should
え
be
る。
a way on the map. The 100-meter radius around the portal device was just a safe zone the police had established. If you use that as a base to look at where Shibuya was safe to travel, as long as we could get through the Seibo department store right next to the Tatsuya and Starbricks, we could make it out to the Scramble Crossing, and we had Kazuki's Diesel to help us with that. There were no portal devices in the Scramble Crossing as of yesterday. A new one might have appeared by now, but that whole area was a complex maze, both above and below ground. Which meant that even if that were the case, we would still have a good chance of escaping the monsters.
ここ道路。
Let's go this way. Kazuki looked at the route I showed her and quickly nodded. The sky was a cheerful blue, but beneath the buildings were as quiet as the dead. As we ran through the streets, we could hear the distant howls of monsters. It felt like I had become a character in a video game. We were going through a very tiny safe area, dodging between the various danger spots. And that safe area was just something I'd come up with quickly, and had actually had a long time. And hadn't had a long time to think about. There was no guarantee that it was actually safe at all. The stress of knowing that a monster might leap out at us at any minute started to wear me down. But even so. We broke open the shutter at Seibo department store and ran through the building. We then dashed across the empty Scramble Crossing, went under the bridge, and somehow managed to reach the Hikari-wo. The door was open wide, and I could see many homeless people inside. I hadn't seen this many people together for days. There were hundreds of them. Some were sleeping on beds made of cardboard, and others were enjoying a lunchtime banquet of drinks and snacks. All the voices overlapped into a chaotic spiral of noise. I felt strangely at home. Kazuki and I looked at each other.
これだけの数の人がいれ
This is more than
ば
enough
十分だろ
people.
準備はいい。
Ready? We had less than 15 minutes until noon.
やれ。
Do it. Kazuki took a deep breath.
超強い力士
Super strong Sumo sticker. And screamed it to the Ikari wall.
超強い
Super strong Sumo sticker. Again.
超強い
Super strong
力士
Sumo sticker. And again.
超
Super strong
強い
Sumo sticker. Other people gathered at the Hikari were staring in shock at this teenage girl who'd shown up out of nowhere and started shouting nonsense at them. All the noise of the entrance hall faded into dead silence.
超強い
Super
力士
strong Sumo sticker. Kazuki's voice was the only thing you could hear.
超強い
Super strong
力士
Sumo sticker. I imagine that this seemed like some kind of gag to the people who were watching us. She was only screaming this one single phrase. Her goal was to imprint it as deeply as she could into the minds of the people here. That was the best plan we could come up with in the short amount of time we had. There might have been a better way, but as exhausted and stressed out as we were, it didn't seem likely that we'd have been able to come up with it. Of course, I didn't expect this plan to work. It was barely even a plan at all. But even so. Since Kazuki's power couldn't be controlled, there was no telling what exactly it could do. The possibilities were infinite. Just like I had created those portal devices all around Shibuya, and the monsters that came with them, maybe it would do something we didn't expect. My hope was that it would create a Sumo sticker stronger than all the ones that Shibuya combined. At this point, it was all luck. I had no idea what would happen. Maybe something would. Maybe nothing would. There wasn't much time left at all until noon. These last 10 minutes were all we had left. All we could wish for was that something would appear that could help us fight Wakui. There wasn't really anything else I could do, except to stay by Kazuki's side. Super strong Sumo stick. Kazuki must have heard her throat from screaming so much. She suddenly started to cough and heave. But despite that, she kept on yelling. Super strong super Sumo sticker. Super sticker, Super strong Sumo sticker. Super strong Sumo sticker.
時間だ。
It's time. Kazuki gasped and fell silent. But
もういいん
that's
だ。
enough. But nothing's had happened yet. Nothing happened. And that was the reality. There just wasn't enough time for Kazuki's power to materialize something.
カズキはよくやったよ。
You did great. We lost our chance to fight back. Not at this rate, we wouldn't be able to save Kurisu either. The regret threatened to overwhelm me. But I couldn't run away now. I had to go. I told myself that I couldn't stop here.
ごめんな、カズキ。
I'm sorry, Kazuki.
僕を助
This
けた
all
ばっかり
happened
に
because you saved me.
こんなことになって。
一緒に
Together. Kazuki whispered and softly took my hand. I gripped her hand back. Her warmth made me feel just a little bit better. The only good thing about this was that Kazuki said she'd stay by my side until the very end. Otherwise, I might have been too scared to go. Now, look up. Go to Wakui. Now it's your last chance to save Kurisu. The homeless men were still looking at us in shock. We ignored them and headed for the elevators, still holding each other's hands. The theater cube was on the 11th floor of the Hikari wall. The entrance hall was called to the sky lobby, and it was an all-glass observation deck. You could look out and see Shibuya from there. I mean, this end isn't going to be a quote-unquote bad end, but I don't know if it'll be okay. I don't know if they'll be okay. It's not in the nature of this series for endings to necessarily be good, even if it's not a bad end, quote-unquote. Even at this height, I could see how empty the town was. It was like time itself had stopped. Hey, you almost didn't make it. The entrance was empty, except for Wakui. He spoke like he was still our teacher, and we were still his students. It pissed me off. He was a bag of shit wearing the skin of a teacher. I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. There was a single chair next to him. Kurisu was sitting in it.
クルス
She didn't respond. She wasn't tied down or restrained in any way. She was sitting up straight, her posture excellent, with her hands on her lap. but her expression was lifeless. Her eyes were open, but there was no sparkle in them. He couldn't have.
クルスに何
What
を
did
し
you
た
do to Kurisu?
別に
Nothing
大したこと
really.
はしてないんだけどね。ちょっとばか
I
り
just brought
過
out
去
a
の
little
傷を
bit
え
of
ぐってあげ
past
たぐらいだよ。
trauma.
お前
You bastard.
体を
I
傷つ
didn't
けた
hurt
り
her
はしてい
physically
ない
at
んだ。
all.
ちょ
I
っと
just
お
need
と
her
な
to
し
be
くなってもら
quiet
った
for a
だけ
little
さ。
while. I don't think
非
it's
難
fair
さ
to
れても困
criticize
るな。
me. My vision turned red with rage. I was overtaken with the impulse to punch him in the face. Kazuki gripped my hand tighter. Our eyes met. She said nothing, but she sadly shook her head. I could tell what she was trying to say. Don't resist. She was right. We had come here to be killed after all. We would turn ourselves over to Wakui in exchange for Kurisu. We'd run out of ideas. Kazuki's words hadn't worked. Our last hope was to do whatever Wakui wanted. I gripped my fist tightly and swallowed my anger.
クルスを
Please.
解
Let
放して
Kurisu
くだ
go.
さい
We're not going to fight you.
僕らは抵抗する気はありません
あ、
No,
そうなの
really. Wakui chuckled and put his hand on Kurisu's shoulder in a friendly way. That was almost enough to bring the anger back.
その
That's
割に
funny,
はさっき
because I'm sure
下
I
で
saw
何か
you
やってたみ
trying
たいだけ
something
ど。
down there. Shit, he found out. Kazuki couldn't speak. I had to come up with something.
でも
But it ended
結
up
局
not
何も起き
working.
なかったんですよだから全部
So
諦め
you
て
gave
こ
up
こ
and
に来
came
たんです
here. It's not that big a deal to you, right?
あなた
You're
の
so
方が
much more
圧倒的に価値は
powerful.
上じゃないですか殺すなら殺
If
して
you
も
want
い
to
いです
kill
か
us, then go ahead and kill
せ
us.
めてクルスだけ
But
は
at
助
least
けて
don't
ほ
hurt
しいんです
Kurisu.
それぐらいのお
You
願い
can at
は
least
聞い
do
てくれ
that,
てもいい
right?
でしょ
So you want to die that badly,
そんなに
Yashida-kun?
死にたいのかい？
I gulped.
昨日みたいなことをされるぐらいなら
Then go through what I experienced
死ん
yesterday.
だ方がマシです
It would be easier.
そうしたら楽になれるから
He spoke honestly.
そっ
I
か。
see.
な
I
るほどね。
see.
委員会
The
からの
committee
指示
didn't
では
actually
ね、
tell me to kill
君
you
たちを
two.
殺せとは言われていないんだ。
Huh?
あ、いや、失礼。
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't quite right.
和樹
They
君
told me
に
not
つ
to
いては
kill
殺すなと言われているんだ。
You're a
君
valuable
は貴重な
sample,
サンプ
you
ルなんで
see.
ね。宮代
As
君
for
については、
Miyashita-kun,
正
No, unless I
直
don't care
どっ
that
ちでもよかったり
much.
する。彼
She
女
gave me
からは
her
殺してもい
permission
い
to
とい
kill
う
you,
許可はも
so
ら
I
った
suppose
わけ
it's
だ
up
か
to me.
ら、僕の気分次第という感じかな。
は
Who was that she? What did he mean it was up to him?
とりあえず、
you can
宮
work
代
out
君
what
の
to
こ
do
と
with
は後で
Miyashita-kun
考える
later.
として。
He started to laugh mockingly. Whoa. That's so shaped. And then took out a sword. The shape was so awful, so terrifying. Just seeing it made me want to throw up. I felt like the physical embodiment of what a piece of shit Wakui was.
まずは和樹
First,
君
we'll
に
take Kazuki-kun. He put the blade up to Kurisu's neck.
絶望してもら
And
おう
drive
か
for
な。
despair.
待て
Wait! That wasn't the deal. Kazuki immediately shook off my hand. And made her own D-sword appear. And the blade whipped around like a snake, and then hardened into a solid straight form. She flung it straight at Wakui. It was just a quick snap of the wrist with no wind-up at all, but it flew so fast that it created shockwaves as it traveled. But Wakui quickly blocked it with his own blade.
抵抗する気
See?
満々
You
じ
do
ゃない
want
か
to resist. You shouldn't lie to your teachers, you know. Let's teach that lying mouth of yours a lesson. Well, that's a rude way to phrase things. Don't you agree? 'Cause like, huh? Huh? Suddenly and inexplicably, Kazuki stuck out her tongue. But what is she doing? She looked up toward the ceiling and stuck it out more. She stood up on her tiptoes, her legs shaking like a newborn fawn's and her hands clapping desperately to keep balance. It was like she was being pulled upward by an invisible fishing hook that had been pierced right through her tongue. Kazuki, what's wrong? Tears formed at the corners of her eyes. Her expression contorted in pain. Her eyes looked to me for help. Didn't your parents ever tell you when you were little? If you lie, the Lord of Hell will rip out your tongue. I felt something cold run down my back. I had a very bad feeling. Stop it! There's no time for me to even reach out my hand. Before Kazuki bit off her own tongue. Blood spurted everywhere. Her frail body lost its balance and collapsed. I ran over and held her in my arms. Her eyes had rolled into the back of her head, and bubbles were pouring from her mouth as her body spasmed with pain. Huh. But there's no blood around her mouth. I had no idea what had just happened. Confused, I used my fingers to open her mouth. Her tongue was still there. It had been severed. I looked around and couldn't see any pieces of it lying on the floor. Makui was grinning. I'm sure a realistic dream of biting off his own tongue is quite the traumatic experience. But we're only just getting started. I need Kazuki-kun to be very thoroughly broken. That's what we do with samples. I didn't even feel any rage. There was only powerlessness and despair. And there's no point in even trying to fight him. I couldn't save anyone. Not Kurisu, not Kazuki, not even myself. Everything was up to Wakui now. All I could do was wait for the moment of my death like cattle. I hadn't even planned on fighting back when I'd come here anyway. I knew I probably wouldn't be able to save Kurisu. And that's right. None of this is unexpected. I'll be killed and I won't be able to do anything about it. There's nothing more to it than that. No matter how much I have to watch Kazuki and Kurisu suffer, they're both going to die anyway. It doesn't matter. Besides, once you die, the pain goes away. I'm so tired. I just want this over with. Maybe I should bite off my own tongue. What? You're about to break to me, Ishida-kun? What a wimp you are. I'll show you what happens after we left off then. Makui put the blade back to Kurisu's neck. Don't look away. Watch carefully. Look. The sharp blade sliced open the white flesh of her neck. Blood spurted out Blood spurted out like a fountain. And I watched it like I was in a trance. Kurisu's head had slumped forward, so Wakui grabbed it and lifted up so I could see her face. Her expression was blank, and there's no sign of pain, no sign of resistance. That made me feel just a little better. At least she didn't suffer. Makui's D-sword was extremely sharp, and it cut through Kurisu's neck like a knife through butter. It didn't seem real at all. It was like watching the death of one of the characters in the game I'd played with Kazuki. Makui lifted up Kurisu's head and tossed it away. It landed on the ground in front of me as I lay there, her long hair wrapping around it as it rolled. I never realized how small her body really was before, but as I stared at it, someone walked over to me. I looked up. Kurisu's headless body was standing in front of me, and the body slowly picked up the head, went back to the chair, and then put its head back on, the same way a person might put on a helmet. A low moan came from its mouth. Kurisu then blinked several times and looked at me. What's going on? What kind of nightmare is this? Her head was connected to her body once again. Kurisu saw me and started to cry. Save me. Takuru. Save me. What the hell is happening? Why? Let's change things up a little for the second time. Huh? Second time? What is he talking about? Makui struck the blade up against her neck again. Kurisu's features contorted with terror. Takuru. Save me. Please. Save me. Please. Stop. She just died. You just chopped off her head. How's she still able to ask me for help? No, I don't want to. Die. You already did. Don't look at me like that. Goodbye. No. No, 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 no! Stop. She screamed and shook as her neck was sliced open again. Stop it! Her screams quickly stopped and were replaced by a sound like air from a leaky pipe. Her head rolled down and landed on the floor with a thud. Stop it. Please. What is happening? Why did Kurisu have to get her head cut off twice? Kurisu had nothing to do with this. She didn't cause any problems for Wakui or the committee. This is an illusion. Ellipsis. Yeah, that's right. It's an illusion. It's just an illusion that Wakui is showing me. Kurisu wasn't killed twice. She was killed once. The second time was just an illusion. Pick it up. Huh? Wakui said something strange. Kurisu's body stood up in answer to his words and picked up her head again. And then she put it back on her body. Was she supposed to be that hero whose head was stuffed with red bean paste? This wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. Maybe laughing would have made it easier. My vision blurred. And I realized I was crying. I started to hear Kurisu's sobs. Hey, Takuru. Why am I alive? I just cut off my head. Why? Tell me. Takuru. Mr. Wakui. Killing me. I felt like I was about to go crazy. I didn't want to see anymore. I wanted everything to go totally black. This is all a delusion. That's what I wanted to believe. When would it end? How many times would Kurisu have to have her head cut off before he'd finally let her die? How many times would I have to see her head cut off before he'd finally let me die? I can't take it anymore. I'm so sick of this fear and bullshit. If I could just destroy my own mind, then I won't be able to feel anything. I could be at peace until I die. That would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be really great, wouldn't it? And then it happened. Suddenly, there was a noise like a trumpet that filled the entire Shibuya sky. The sound. It can't be. For the first time, Makui's expression changed to one of shock. He doesn't look shocked, he looks angry. He looked directly at the still unconscious Kazuki. Wait, this sound. I think I've heard it before. It can't be. Kazuki's power. Kazuki's words. Kazuki's delusions. Had one been real booted? The super strong sumo sticker? But if it had, what form was it going to take? If nothing else, I couldn't see anything happening near where we were. Both Wakui and I were listening very carefully. I focused as hard as I could to see if I could hear anything besides Kurisu's sobs. I looked around desperately, trying to find the sumo sticker. What was it? Where was it? What had changed? Suddenly, I heard a faint noise. Like a rumble in the distance. It was far smaller than the sound of the trumpet I'd first heard. But the floor began to shake in response to the sound. It wasn't an earthquake. The tremors were spaced too closely. It was outside. Something was happening outside. Ignoring Kazuki, Kurisu. Ignoring Kazuki, Kurisu, and Wakui, I staggered over to the glass window. I wanted to see it for myself. What form had Kazuki's last uncontrollable wish taken? In some tiny corner of my crippled heart, I thought to myself that maybe it would be nice if whatever was completely destroyed this insane world. I realized that I was on the verge of going crazy. But even so, I looked outside with a burning hope in my heart. I looked down at the city of Shibuya below, and there, I saw it. I quickly realized that something was wrong. I didn't want to admit that it could be real. I thought it might be another one of Wakui's illusions, but... What the hell is that thing? Wakui had forgotten all about toying with me, and was instead gazing in awe of the unbelievable sight before him. From the look of things, it wasn't something he had created, which meant that it wasn't another one of his delusions. It was real. This is what Kazuki had created. When I realized this, I was awestruck. I mean, the scale was all wrong. I was holding the cylinder tower of... Oh, it was holding the cylinder tower of 107 like one would hold a body pillow. It was shaped like a human. It was pretty pudgy. No, actually, it was obese. The surface of its body was slick and shiny, but I couldn't tell whether it was sweating or if that was just what the skin was like. It was mostly naked, except for a loincloth around its waist. Its black hair was oily and clung tight to its head, but there was no top knot. Its hair was parted perfectly in the center. Strangely enough, its face had 2 mouths, 2 noses, and 3 eyes. It was not the face of a human. Its face was a sumo sticker. The center eye was closed, but the other 2 were flung wide open, and even at this distance I could see that the giant eyeballs were constantly moving. Its mouth was continually opening and closing. It seemed to be eating anything, whether it was sleepy or thirsty or maybe even trying to speak, I couldn't tell. Its movements were sluggish and lumbering. It was like a giant monster from a kaiju movie. Yeah, a giant monster. That was the perfect word for it. It was as tall as 107 after all. Giant Sumo Sticker Man, at least that's what I decided to call him, had been very interested in his feet since the moment I'd first seen him. If I remembered right, there was a portal device over there, and the place was crawling with monsters. Giant Sumo Sticker Man lifted up one of his feet in the ground and flicked it a little. It was covered with monsters clinging to it. From this distance, they looked like little tiny pieces of garbage, but I could still see them. Giant Sumo Sticker Man kept shaking his left leg, but the monsters didn't let go. And then, the two mouths howled in unison, and slammed its left leg into the ground. The monsters were knocked off. In fact, he crushed the portal device itself. The pyrokinetic had been annihilated when she touched the device, but evidently, it wasn't capable of handling something the size of a giant Sumo Sticker Man. The horrible portal device that had caused so much pain was crushed beneath the feet of Sumo Sticker Man. I started to laugh. This time, it wasn't out of resignation. I hadn't gone crazy. Faced with the overwhelming size and scale of giant Sumo Sticker Man, after all the time I'd spent running and being afraid for the past week, it all seemed kind of stupid now. Wait. What the hell is that? That's impossible. It's insane. I couldn't understand why Wakabi was panicking. In the face of something like that, your only options were to laugh, scream, or pretend it didn't exist. Seriously though, who the hell dreamed that thing up? Both people had to share the same precise image, down to the smallest details for Kazuki's words to reboot. Was that what they'd taken from Super Strong Sumo Sticker? It's something short of a miracle, created by astronomical odds. The human imagination can be a scary, scary thing.
Takuru... senpai...
Kazuki had woken up and staggered over to me. I quickly grabbed her body to steady her. Her jaw practically dropped when she saw the giant Sumo Sticker Man. Is that... did I? Yeah, I'm sure of it. Kazuki closed her eyes tight. Can you beat up Mr. Wakui for me? As if in response to her words. The giant Sumo Sticker Man howled once more. Moving its giant arms, it knocked down the 107 building. Yeah, this perspective of the Sumo Sticker is tripping me up. Because, like, the two mouths are, like, low-key giving optical illusion, frankly. Anyways. As the rubble and dust flew up into the air, giant Sumo Sticker Man looked at us. Does he recognize us? Wait, maybe he recognizes Kazuki? The inside of its mouths are, Giant Sumo Sticker's man's central eye opened. It was a black pupil with a crimson iris. And the third eye was looking straight at us. When it saw us, a sense of indescribable terror and exhaustion raced through my body. My knees started to shake and I couldn't even stand. My vision blurred, my ears starting to ring, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I had the hallucination that every drop of blood in my body was freezing over. My whole body started to shudder from the cold. It was a million times worse than the Sumo Stickers I'd seen around the city. What happened to Wakabi? I forced myself to look through my blurred vision. The way his sprite was just shaking. He was kneeling on the floor and vomiting. It was working. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was nullifying his power. Kazuki had gone pale and was clinging to me tightly. I shook her by the shoulders. Give him an order. The giant Sumo Sticker Man might listen to what you tell him. Kazuki nodded through the pain. She looked back at giant Sumo Sticker Man. Come here.
こっち
Come
に
here.
来い。
Her voice was a hoarse whisper. But he heard it. Giant Sumo Striker Man unleashed a mighty roar from both of his two mouths and took a slow, ponderous step forward. His blubber shook as he walked. Poor guy doesn't have a tongue. Like, not a singular tongue between both mouths. He traveled the distance between Noto 7 and Scramble Crossing in only a few steps. Maybe he could sense Kazuki's thoughts. I had no idea how it worked, and I didn't care. At this point, there was no point in even asking questions. I couldn't get distracted.
来い。
Come here. What in the name of God did you people create? Honestly, a valid reaction. What is that ridiculous thing? Don't you know what that thing is going to do to the rest of the world? Makui stood up and slowly moved toward us, shaking and wobbling as he moved. I slid between him and Kazuki and pushed him away. The expression he made before his sprite disappeared, I couldn't. He couldn't regain his balance and fell flat on his ass. Yeah, I have no strength. Is this the power of the Sumo Striker? I see. So that's it. That's how you rebooted that thing.
あんなものをリアルブートしたのにはそういう理由がアンチギガロマニアックスの
It's an anti-giggling maniac giant. That's insane.
まったくふざけてるなだが
But don't you think you've won?
ならない方がいい
At almost the exact same moment, the Wakui readied his D-sword again. And there was a roar from below that shook the whole building. I looked down to see what had happened. I saw a giant Sumo Striker Man lying on top of an elevated section of the Yamanote railway line. He must have tripped on it. He grabbed the side of the station building and used it to help himself up, crushing the tracks in the process. He then moved forward and slammed himself into the side of the Hikari wall. The Hikari wall was struck with the force of hundreds, no, thousands of yokozonas. And the body slams continued, again and again. And the building itself began to buckle. And the shock waves sent us crashing to the floor. And glass broke and poured down on us. I felt a cold wind on my skin. And when the shaking finally stopped, I looked up to see what had happened to Kazuki and Kurisu. I was relieved to see that they hadn't fallen out of the window. But Wakui was still alive. He'd stood up before we had, and was cursing us in rage. And there was another huge shock. Makui and the rest of us were knocked away. I was worried that Hikariwa might break. I hate to ask, guys, but can you do something about that thing? No, never mind, never mind. I'll just kill you first. Makui didn't even have the energy left to keep up his good teacher act. He readied his D-sword, his face full of anger. Even though it was obvious he could barely stay standing. He attacked us out of sheer desperation. He was obsessed with killing us. However, I wasn't ready to give up yet either. We had finally our own trump card, Giant Sumo Sticker Man. And I was every bit as obsessed with killing Wakui. You... I grabbed Kazuki's body in my arms and leapt outside, through the broken window. The ground got closer and closer. I was terrified. If I hit the ground at this speed, my bones would shatter, my body would be crushed, and I'd die in a spray of blood and organs. There was nothing to support me, nothing to grab onto. I couldn't keep my balance in midair. All I could do was cling tightly to Kazuki. Kazuki, make it catch us! Kazuki quickly understood and looked around for it. But there was no need to look. The giant steamer sticker man was right under us, clinging to the Ikariwo building. He twisted his neck to look at us. Huge, flabby handles extended beneath us. And caught us. It was soft, like a cushion. We were still going pretty fast though, so the impact was intense. But at least we were still alive. I looked up at him and saw his arm, his shoulder, and his giant Sumo sticker face. But seeing his face from up close only made me feel even more sick. A part of me wanted to jump off and die rather than stay here. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and did my best to fight the impulse.
Yashiro! Kazuki!
I could hear Wakubi's voice from above. I looked up and saw that he had jumped out of the building too. Huh. Guy's crazy for real, for real. Better look at his D-sword though, look at that. A huge bird, like something out of an encyclopedia of dinosaurs, had flown out from nowhere, and Wakubi had grabbed onto its leg and slid through the air toward us. And that bird's from Usos too, maybe. It's called a Quetzalcoatlus. I probably butchered that, but that's okay. It was pink and almost completely featherless. I could tell by comparing its size to Wakubi's that its wingspan was over 5 meters long. Cause, you know, the wingspan is really important right now. And there's no such bird as that, and even if there were, it wouldn't live in the middle of Tokyo. And even if it did, it wouldn't be taking orders from Wakubi. Wakubi's delusions had created it. Wakubi flew past giant Sumo sticker man, slicing into its shoulder with his D-sword. Its two mouths moaned in pain. Instead of blood, white sumo stickers spurted out of the wound. The wind carried them across the Shibuya sky. Mokui spun around in midair for another attack. Have these kids never heard of pterosaurs? I mean, who knows? It's kind of funny though that they're just calling it a bird.
Kazuki?
But that was when I realized. The Kazuki was holding the sides of her temples in pain. Her body was so hot in my arms that I thought I might get burned. She was feeling weak. I wasn't sure if it was because of Valkyrie's attack, or the fact that she used her power. Or maybe because she was giving orders to giant Sumo sticker man. Don't push yourself too hard. I screamed, unable to stand seeing her in that state. But she simply shook her head in response. She then looked at me in desperation, and spoke these words clearly. Let's defeat him. This is our only chance. We have our weapon, so let's use it. Can I really do this? Kazuki grabbed me by the necktie, as if to urge me on. She gritted her teeth, and whispered in my ear through the pain. Senpai, you give it the orders. Then we can fight. I can do it. I can fight. In fact, I have a monster at my disposal that's capable of ripping Wakubi in two. Which means I need to use that weapon to survive. Got it. Kazuki nodded, and giant Sumo sticker man's fingers closed around us. He brought his hand up and sat us on his shoulder. It was a little more unstable than his palm, but at least we wouldn't have to look at his face. Just as I thought, moving up here made me feel a lot better. I had Kazuki summon her D-sword and plunge it into the giant Sumo sticker's man's neck, giving us support so we wouldn't fall off.
Yashiro!
Here he comes. This bastard isn't our club advisor or anything else. The Committee of 300 can go to hell. Hit him! Giant Sumo Sticker Man's arm flew forward. He smashed Wakui with an open palm, the same way you just swat a fly. Wakui landed hard near Memorial Park. The impact easily could have killed him. However, he was a Gigalomaniac, so I couldn't afford to show him any mercy. Crush him! In a single bound, Giant Sumo Sticker Man covered the distance between here and Memorial Park. He could jump an amazing distance for a fat man. Okay. Kazuki and I clung as tightly as we could to the D-sword in order to avoid falling off. He landed hard, crushing the area where Wakui had fallen. The impact kicked up rubble and dust around his feet. Did we win? I looked down into the dust. Wakui's D-sword flew up through the cloud. It was so fast, there was no time to dodge. The sharp blades tapped into my shoulder. It tore through my flesh and bone. The pain was incredible. It felt like I was going to pass out. Kazuki held me up. And she grabbed my hand and placed it on the D-sword. It was just barely enough to keep me from falling. I bit my lip to endure the pain, and looked in the direction the sword had come from. Wakui was down there, covered in blood and looking up at us in fury, just a little from the spot where the giant Sumo Sticker Man had landed. Kick him away! The giant Sumo Sticker Man flicked Wakui away with his foot. Wakui's body flew like a ping pong ball. At that point, the fight was over. But I wasn't finished yet. Grab the weapon. By weapon, I meant the Shibuya Earthquake Memorial, which had survived the impact of the jump and was sticking out of the ground near giant Sumo Sticker Man's feet. He reached down and yanked it out of the earth. His eyes locked onto Wakui as he flew through the air. This is it. Kazuki, we're gonna impale him. Get impaled, idiot. The giant Sumo Sticker Man flung back the arm holding the memorial. Go! Kazuki's will, my own, dwelt within the giant sumo wrestler's body. His arm snapped forward. The memorial was flung like a spear. The spear instantly crossed the speed of sound. With a sonic boom, it smashed straight into Wakui and obliterated his body. Jesus Christ. And that was the end. The D-sword on my shoulder disappeared in a halo of light. Wakui was dead. I mean, I would hope so after that. He never had a chance. I mean, it was a one-sided slaughter. The giant sumo wrestler howled into the open air. He was a destructive monster. He was a brutal giant. He had created something that threatened to destroy the balance of the entire world. I looked up at the Hikari wall and saw Kurisei waving at us from the shattered sky lobby window. We survived. We did, right? Senpai. Yeah. For better or for worse, both Kazuki and I had survived. What waited us now was a hell worse than anything we'd gone through so far. We might have brought this terror not only to ourselves, but to the entire world. Nothing about the world would ever be the same. And we'd be left to make our way in it, like lost and frightened children. Even without the Committee of 300's decision, Kazuki and I were enemies of the world for creating such a place. Maybe it would have been better if Wakui had killed us. There was that, and then the fact that I had no idea what we were going to do next. And then the fact that my shoulder was still bleeding and it hurt like hell, but... Kazuki was in my arms, looking relieved and at peace. So at least for this one moment. I could be grateful for the warmth I felt. That's what I thought as I looked up at the blue sky above. Okay. I mean, fair. I'm not sure how else they would have ended that, but... That was wild. Is there an after credit scene? Let's find out. Hey, Taku, did you have fun? I mean, I didn't not have fun. Okay, no after credit scene though. Man, that was wild. Jesus. That just kept going and going. For once. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Man. If it extra ending list. Yeah. So there's only 2 more endings before the true ending. That's crazy. Right, so there's the dream / another sky end. They're like the same route, but there's 2 different endings, which is interesting. And then there's the true end. Okay, yeah, so it's literally just the 3. I couldn't remember if there was like technically 2 true endings, like how there was for Chaos Head. Oh. Just a disembodied Sakyu talking for the vertical stream. Oopsie. I can slap a PNG of me for the YouTube video and post, that's fine. The fact that he was just blatantly obliterated is really funny to me, I'm not gonna lie. Just straight up obliterated. Fucking supersonic chunk of building. Not a chunk of building, it was the memorial. So like all the list of people that died during the Shibuya earthquake 6 years ago. All of us, get his ass. Wakui's ass is freaking got. So true. This ending was really enjoyable, despite how rough things got, because goddamn, Wakui's honestly kind of terrifying. Definitely don't want him on our bad side in the future. Yes, despite the horrors, it was still enjoyable. I would say so far it's my favorite ending in terms of like just general tone and whatnot. So I do look forward to seeing what the other endings have in store for us. It is crazy that there's only literally 2 left. I do look forward to seeing how like Sarika's and Uki's routes are going to be intertwined, since that's what's going to be happening. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. Anyways though, thank you all so much for joining. I will catch you all next time. But yeah, until next time though, bye bye everyone. Oh boy.